Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas. Comcast Sportsnet brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight, the Astros open a 4-game series against the Tampa Bay Rays. Good evening, everybody. Bill Brown and Alan Ashby. The Astros were swept over the weekend by the Angels, now trying to get started again. But the Rays bring a very good challenge, and we have a matchup of lefties tonight and another one tomorrow night.
That lefty, Matt Moore, that goes for Tampa Bay. Great arm, a youngster that even a year ago people were talking about maybe a Cy Young Award candidate. Didn't quite work out that way, but got off to a great start this year. Terrific arm, and of course Dallas Keuchel goes tonight trying to get the Astros going again.
Dallas pitched in relief last time, but he's been in the rotation now for 9 starts.
And making that 10th start tonight, it's key for Dallas to get the Astros on the right foot against a Tampa Bay club that has become a better hitting club this year than we've seen in recent seasons. Tampa Bay had been known as a strong pitching club, a team that didn't score a lot of runs, and yet they found ways to win. Dallas Keuchel is a guy that finds ways to win by pitching just like he showed right there, staying in tough spots in the location.
At Lowe's, we never stop improving, and neither does Dallas Keuchel. You see the improvement from earlier this season in May to the month just completed of June.
Well, the month of June, good numbers. That opponent's batting average at .257, a good one, and of course the ERA at an even 3. He can win some ball games, but the Astros not scoring a whole lot more than that figure, so he's really got to hold it tight to that line.
Well, you mentioned the improved Tampa Bay offense earlier. Evan Longoria is a very important part of that. He's not in the lineup tonight. Plantar fasciitis, missed Saturday and Sunday, but he could pinch hit. He might be back tomorrow.
Evan Longoria, great third baseman defensively, but it's the bat that makes people ooh and ah. He can drive it to all fields. Great power. He's a run producer. He is one of those guys. His batting average has dipped under the 300 mark right now, but probably good part of that due to the fact that he's been bothered by that foot. Evan Longoria will play as solid a third base and as spectacular a third base as you'll see anywhere.
Houston native James Loney from Elkins High School comes back, and it's a revitalized James Loney with excellent numbers in a Rays uniform.
How about that number 313 for James Loney? They have not asked him to hit the long ball, as word is that in L.A. they did ask him, and that may have messed with his natural stroke. One way or another, he's swinging it well and hitting some long balls. Ben Zobrist, a guy who has made the All-Star team in the American League, just a steady performer. Switch hitter, he can play at second, short, third, in the outfield. A very good player.
Coming up, Matt Moore, a 10-game winner in the American League, has had some recent troubles. We'll have more with Julia Morales in just a moment.
Getting set for a 4-game series between the Astros and the Tampa Bay Rays. And tonight, a couple of lefties will face off. Dallas Keuchel versus the Rays. Matt Moore, who's proving to be one of the better southpaws in the league. He just grabbed his 10th win of the season, and it might have been more if he didn't have a tough stretch earlier this month. Moore came out of the gate hot. He was 8-0 in his first 11 starts and starting to mature in his second full year with the Rays. Just recently quoted, he's really pitching now, not just throwing. He's learning to use his changeup and curveball rather than just relying on velocity, which happens to be down 92 this year compared to 94 last year. But his walks are up recently, so the Astros trying to plan to be patient. Here's Jason Castro, our Geico quote of the game.
We're very aware of the type of pitcher he is and what he's capable of doing. He's got tremendous stuff. But at the same time, we have to be smart and try to stay within ourselves and not try to do too much and go outside of ourselves. So I think that'll play into, some of the reason why he might have, an elevated walk rate. Guys might start to be more familiar with him and things like that, and trying to be as patient as possible. So we'll see. I mean, he'll eventually dictate what we do. If he comes out throwing strikes, we'll have to adjust.
All right, but it is all about the Astros lefty, Dallas Keuchel, going tonight for the Astros Rays. And Houston Astros kick off the series next. Don't go anywhere.
Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. And by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. And let's go from KBR Plaza outside to inside Minute Maid Park for the opener of this 4-game series. The Astros, after splitting the 2 with St. Louis, were swept over the weekend by the Angels. So now it's the Astros and Rays for the first time all season. Fans have come indoors where it's nice and cool after a sizzling afternoon in downtown Houston to see Game 1. The Rays are coming off a 4-2 homestand. They're starting just a brief road trip with Desmond Jennings, their center fielder, leading it off. Sean Rodriguez plays left. He can play several positions. He's followed by the designated hitter, an exciting rookie named Will Myers. Batting third, Ben Zobrist, former Astros farmhand, is the cleanup man at second baseman. The shortstop is Yunel Escobar. First baseman James Loney. Third baseman Ryan Roberts. Batting eighth, catcher Jose Lobaton. Sam Fold is in right field, batting ninth.
And the assignment is in the hands of Dallas Keuchel, 25-year-old lefty, 4-4 on the year, 4.34 the ERA. Worked in relief his last time out after getting skipped in the rotation one time. Left-hand hitters have fared very well against Dallas. That's an area that he needs to shore up a bit, as well as 12 home runs allowed through his 74 and 2/3 innings.
He has been Mr. Versatility for the Astros, starting in relief and switching to the rotation. May 10th against Texas here, his first start. That one went very well, and several have. And in general at home, he has pitched exceptionally well. So now, as he faces this Tampa Bay club, we had a distraction out there in left center field. Brandon Barnes was taking care of it. And it'll be Desmond Jennings leading it off. Jennings went 2 for 13 in the Detroit series in Tampa Bay, 252 for the season. He has 9 homers. He's driven in 29. And that's on the corner, and it's strike one call. John Hirschbeck is the home plate umpire. Jennings has a .314 on base average. The Tampa Bay club has hit very well against lefties. .289 tops in the American League. Tapped the breaking ball on one bounce near the bag. Matt Dominguez rifles a throw across to Chris Carter, and it's out number 1 for Dallas Keuchel.
Defensively, behind Dallas Keuchel tonight, it's Jason Castro behind the plate. Around the infield, right to left, Chris Carter, Jose Altuve, Jake Elmore with another start at short, and Matt Dominguez. In the outfield, Brandon Barnes in center, flanked by Jimmy Paredes in right, and JD Martinez in left.
Sean Rodriguez is next. With that open stance to start, then he closes up and he cracks a line drive into the left field corner. Rodriguez heads for second base. He has a 1-out double. That's number 5 of the year for Rodriguez.
John Rodriguez is one of those versatile players that Joe Maddon, the skipper of the Rays, likes so much. A guy that can play infield or outfield, even shortstop. And he's had struggles with the bat, but not so much right here.
Well, the native of Miami, Florida, is aboard for Will Myers. Myers has come up from AAA Durham this year to hit safely in 11 of his 13 games. An exciting rookie, one of the best rookies in the game, rated by Baseball America coming into this season. Traded surprisingly to Tampa Bay by Kansas City. 296, 3 homers, 9 runs batted in because he was such a good prospect. Many were shocked that the Royals would part with him, but they got 2 pitchers in return in the deal who are helping them now. James Shields and Wade Davis. Nonetheless, the Rays, who have been known for making this kind of a deal for Joe Maddon, went for youth. He's a 2-time American League Manager of the Year in 08 and 11.
And he'll manage it loose and wild at times.
Out in front, Myers goes to a 1-1 count on the changeup. What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, he's a guy that is not afraid to lose his DH. He'll manage and utilize some players where you'll wind up losing the DH. He'll manage maybe where left-hand hitters might load a lineup against a left-hand pitcher like Dallas Keuchel, who gives up a high batting average to left-hand hitters. He'll even have some switch hitters bat left-handed against a lefty like Keuchel if he thinks there's an advantage there.
Will Myers last year had big numbers at AAA Omaha, belching 24 homers, driving in 79. Baseball America's Player of the Year. Swings and goes to 2-2 in the count.
This changeup looks like it's something that Will Myers hasn't seen a lot of.
Sure does. Myers had a good weekend, going 5 for 13 against the Tigers, including a homer. He's the only player to hit 3 homers in his first 13 games with the Rays. And the Rays used to be the Devil Rays, of course. It's 3 balls, 2 strikes.
They couldn't win as the Devil Rays. They became the Rays, and they were suddenly a perennial winning ball club, a team that vies for a shot to get toward the postseason, even toward the World Series.
Once they exorcised the Devil, they became quite a club.
It was just the change in the organization they needed.
Tap foul. Myers made his debut at Tropicana Field June 24th against Toronto, and he hit a home run in his first career plate appearance in that ballpark. Third Ray to do that. And then he hit a go-ahead grand slam on June 22nd at Yankee Stadium. And that one came off CC Sabathia. So he's had a couple of big splashes in the early going of his major league career. Myers cracks a line drive, and that goes foul into the seats. Myers, a 3rd-round pick of Kansas City in 09. He's from High Point, North Carolina. Worked his way up through the minor leagues, and he should be one of the exciting players for Tampa Bay for years. The problem, as you know, with the low payrolls of the Rays is holding on to their young players once they progress, once they get to potential free agency. Can they pay them, or do they trade them a year before and get a good return? Quite often they do trade them.
But they've also locked up the likes of Evan Longoria and others here in recent years.
That's true.
So they've kind of tried to pick and choose the guys they believe are the long-term winners that can lead their ball club and lock those guys up, and they are willing to lose some of the players like James Shields, like Wade Davis.
Now Benjamin Zobrist comes up, cleanup man and second baseman, and he was coming up through the Astros system after being drafted in the 6th round in 04. He spent a couple of years with the Astros. They traded him to Tampa Bay in July of 06 along with Mitch Talbot for Aubrey Huff. 273, 5 homers, 43 runs batted in for Zobrist, a switch hitter. Zobrist looks at it, and it's ball 1. And he, you talked about Sean Rodriguez. He's another one of those guys. Zobrist can play all over the field, Ash.
Joe Madden loves that kind of player. Or if he doesn't, the Tampa Bay Rays management does. They bring a number of those guys in, and they've had a lot of success with that type of player.
Zobrist takes it, and it misses for a 2-ball, no strike count now.
Elliott Johnson, who went in the deal for Will Myers on eventually to Kansas City, another one of those players.
Yep. Zobrist had a big month of June with a .393 on base average in the month while hitting .314. Altuve moving up the middle now. In the air, and the center fielder Brandon Barnes comes in for it, and still coming in with a shallow fly ball for out number 2. A big out there for Keuchel. After the double and the walk, he falls behind Zobrist and gets him on a 2-0 pitch.
We talked about the fact that command would likely be key for Dallas Keuchel, but he gets away with a pitch here. It simply gets popped up.
Bo Porter watching as Yunel Escobar comes to the plate. Zobrist unhappy with that development, certainly with the opportunity he had, and passes the baton along to Escobar. Escobar's driven in 31 with 6 homers and a .245 average.
Got off to an extremely slow start for the Rays.
He was with Toronto the last couple of years. Came up with the Atlanta Braves. There's strike 1 to Escobar. He was drafted in the 2nd round by Atlanta in 05. I can remember when the Astros were playing the Braves back in 07 and 08. And he was viewed then as something of a hot dog with a lot of mustard.
Yeah, that hot dog was a special one too, and I had a chance to watch him play recent years in Toronto. Very good player, but he does have those moments where there seems to be letdowns. Teammates will get upset about it. Also has some pop in the bat, but seldom employs it.
Oh. What's he saving it for?
Well, I'm not sure, and I'm not sure he's saving. He's got 6 home runs already this year. Tampa Bay is not the largest of ballparks. Of course, now Escobar was dealt in all that flurry of activity between the Blue Jays and what used to be the Florida Marlins, the Miami Marlins, and eventually then was traded from Miami on to Tampa Bay.
That's a ball. That makes it 3-1 to Escobar.
Yeah, when you talk about those shortstops that can make the spectacular plays, Escobar is one of those guys. Very strong throwing arm.
His last full year with Atlanta, he hit .299 with 14 homers, 76 runs batted in 09. Very good year.
Chipper Jones and company allegedly got tired of his act.
Well, you can kind of see why they might, as you watched him back then, if you did. Bases are loaded now after the second walk of the inning, and Keuchel had walked 22 and 74 and 2/3 innings coming into this game. He worked in relief Tuesday against the Cardinals, 2 2/3 innings. This is his first start since June 20th, and now it'll be James Loney facing him.
Yeah, the walks will not play well in the long run for Dallas Keuchel.
Well, his command has to be such that he's going to get hit some. He's given up 87 hits in 74 and 2/3 innings. So if he compounds that with the walks. Now he's got a rather high whip, as they say, walks and hits per innings pitched. And now facing a .313 hitter with 9 homers, 40 runs batted in, and 840 OPS, a very good looking version of James Loney here in 2013. 11-game hitting streak currently. Good breaker there for strike one.
First pitch breaking ball will so often be taken if you can just loop it through the strike zone and get the call. Very good pitch. Great way to start, guys.
Loney's hitting .400 during his 11-game streak, going 18 for 45. It's his longest streak since 2010. It's 1-1. Loney with the Dodgers really struggled. Then they traded him to Boston last year. And with both of those clubs combined, he was a .249 hitter with 6 homers, 41 runs batted in. And one more RBI gets him to his total from last year in 434 at bats. One and 2 to Loney. Well, Loney's one of those guys, a Houston product here, who has had the high expectations. He was the 19th player drafted in 2002. First rounder by the Dodgers that year. And he has had some promise along the way. He had back-to-back 90 runs batted in years for the Dodgers in 08 and 09. Loney checks his swing, or did he? The appeal went to third. No, he swung, and that'll be the end of the top of the first inning on the call by Jim Reynolds. It's no runs a hit, 3 men stranded, no score. Here's the starting lineup for Bo Porter. Jake Elmore, shortstop. Jose Altuve, second base. Jason Castro, catcher. Chris Carter, first base. In left field, J.D. Martinez. At third base, Matt Dominguez batting 6th tonight. Ronnie Cedeno, the DH. Jimmy Paredes in right field. And Brandon Barnes, the center fielder.
On the hill, left-hander Matt Moore, 24 years of age, 10-3 with his great start, 3.95 the ERA. He has struggled with command of late. Walks have been an issue, but you can see the opponent's batting average against .228 says he is rather dominant in that regard. He has allowed 8 home runs.
Usually averages about 92 miles per hour on his fastball. That is down from last year's velocity. Last year he had some tough luck, didn't he, Ash?
He did, and the year before he came on late in the season, pitched in postseason, and he pitched so brilliantly that a lot of the experts thought last year would be the year he breaks out and maybe be a Cy Young Award candidate. It didn't turn out that way, but a tremendous arm.
Jake Elmore leads it off. And takes ball 1 high. Elmore, 273, has no homers, 1 RBI.
First fastball, Brownie, at 89, so we heard that there had been a drop in velocity. That's considerable.
If you see Astros hitters taking a lot of first pitches, that would be completely called for by the statistics of Matt Moore this year. He's the lowest percentage wise in the American League at throwing a first pitch strike, 52%. Elmore showing bunt. Takes that one, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
Having watched Moore in the past, such an easy, hard thrower, it makes me wonder if something's bothering him. When you see guys unable to throw strikes and they've lost velocity, oftentimes that's the case.
2 balls, 2 strikes. He's just 24. An 8th round pick in 07 from Fort Walton Beach, Florida. There you have April, 5-0 with a 1.13 ERA, just one of the best around. Then in May, 3-0, ERA 3.30. In June, 2-3 with an 8.39. Last time out, though, a good ball game. 6 innings, 1 run allowed, although he danced in the fire with 6 walks. He struck out 11. That's a crazy game. Now 3-2 to Elmore, and he's doing exactly the job that a manager would probably hope that his leadoff man would do against somebody who's walked 48 in 86 2/3 innings.
In taking ball 3, he might have taken one a little too close.
In the air, and it goes to the left fielder or the shortstop. Escobar is calling. It's 1 out for Moore.
Defensively for Tampa Bay. Behind the plate, Jose Lobaton. From the infield, right to left, James Loney, Ben Zobrist, Yunel Escobar, who just caught the pop-up, and Ryan Roberts. In the outfield, Desmond Jennings in center, Sam Fold in right, and Sean Rodriguez will be in left.
Jose Altuve is the batter. Moore finally cranked it up to 93. Altuve at 292 with 3 homers, has 27 runs batted in. His hitting streak of 9 games was halted yesterday when he went 0 for 4. He looks at ball 1.
There again, that inability to throw a first pitch strike.
Altuve hit .353 during his 9-game hitting streak, going 12 for 34. This is going to be an unusual start to this 4-game series, with lefties starting for both clubs tonight and again tomorrow night. Less than 10% of the time that has been the case this year in Major League games, that 2 left-handed pitchers have started against each other. Now it's 3-0 to Altuve. Moore was quite a sensation in that 2011 season when he came up at the end, as you mentioned, Ash. And now here's a 4-pitch walk. Altuve takes his 18th base on balls.
So you talk about these 2 left-handers starting tonight. We've already seen 3 walks here. We're just in the first inning.
Yep. Jason Castro comes up. Jason at 268 with 11 homers, has 27 runs batted in, and an 805 OPS. He was a pinch hitter yesterday as Carlos Corcoran got the start at catcher. Jason hit a big home run in the Astros bullpen Friday night off right-hander Jerome Williams. He has 22 doubles. That's tied for 5th in the American League. Looks at that one high for ball 1. And Lobaton goes out for a little chat with Matt Moore.
Well, he's faced 3 hitters. He's missed on the first pitch with each. And it looks like the Astros are locked in right now, trying to see as many pitches as possible. And I would imagine that message might have been, look, you can see they're not even going to try to swing on the first pitch, at least until you show that you can throw a first pitch strike.
Castro with 11 long balls, ranks 2nd in the American League among catchers. He looks at a strike, and that evens the count at 1-1. With Moore going 10-3 so far this year, in the last 5 years, 3 other pitchers under the age of 25 have had 10 wins. At the end of June, Madison Bumgarner in 2012, Phil Hughes in 2010, and David Price in 2010. So that's select company for Moore. That's a strike to Castro. That makes it 1-2 to Jason. Only Jason Marquis has more walks allowed in the major leagues this year than the 49 allowed by Matt Moore. Marquis has walked 53. Snap throw to first. Altuve back.
A little bit of a unique move by a left-hander, stepping off the rubber, stepping back and snap throwing.
Sure was.
Now, the question I would have is, was his first move all with that left leg getting off the rubber?
Way outside, and it's 2-2.
Because if that first move is with the right leg, that would be initiating the move to the plate.
Moore threw 120 pitches in his last start. That's his highest in any game, and that got him through 6 innings. Walking 6 and fanning 11. And the throw goes over. Altuve is in the top 6 in stolen bases in the American League. He has 18. Catcher Lobaton has thrown out 16%, 6 of 37. Chris Carter on deck. Broken bat roller. There's Loney, and he's got a rundown here on Altuve, who broke back to the bag, but now it's a 3 unassisted double play to end the first. And after 1, we have no score at Minute Maid Park.
Tampa Bay in town for 4 games, and they're making a very short road trip. They'll turn around and go back to Tampa Bay after these 4 games are up. And Joe Maddon, skipper of the Rays, has been known to change things up a bit, especially on road trips. And this one no different. Check it out. It's accidental preppy trip. This is our AT&T tweet of the game right here to Houston. These are great. That's Jamie Wright. He basically wanted, he said, shorts and things that don't match. This is not abnormal, though. Last year they had a Revenge of the Nerds trip and also a camo trip. And I think Ash talked about Madden earlier. He just likes to keep it loose in that clubhouse.
He certainly does. He has no rules, as they say. It works well. Now Ryan Roberts leads it off. And he's a very intelligent man, by the way, Joe Maddon.
He does keep it loose, and I think the players love it. I have never heard a player say anything negative at all about their time spent playing under Joe Maddon.
Strike 1 for Roberts, who was just recalled from AAA Durham on Saturday. 236, 3 homers, 13 runs batted in. That goes to the left of Elmore. Elmore with the throw and just hits him. He's had 3 errors in the last 2 games at shortstop, getting a trial there. And Bo Porter was asked about staying with Elmore at short. He said, this is not a wishy-washy commitment. We need to see more of him there.
I think he went the route of the razor blade in trying to get his defense straightened out today. I think he had the scruffy look the last couple.
Maybe that'll work.
Superstition is king sometimes.
Jose Lobaton had a 3-hit game yesterday to tie his career high. He's caught about half the games for the Rays. There's strike one to Lobaton. 273, 4 homers, 18 runs batted in. He's hit 283 against lefties. Bounces back to this lefty, Keuchel, who lobs over to first, and it's an easy out, number 2, after he labored in the first inning with a double and 2 walks.
No toll was taken on the arm with that toss to first.
Pitcher's got to save something.
So many of those guys are just fearful as can be to make that toss to first or to second.
Remember Larry Anderson on intentional walks?
My goodness, it was like a guy who had never picked up a baseball in his life. In fact, never picked up a stone to toss it at a lake.
Sam Fuld looks at strike one. 179 for Sam, 2 homers, 8 runs batted in. A terrific defensive player. Last year he was on the highlights all the time for great catches in the outfield. That pitch just away, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count.
I think if the infielders had enabled Larry Anderson to throw a hard slider their way at any time, he could have cut it loose and put it right on the money.
Yeah, I don't know if they would have been able to catch it. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
He had a filthy one.
Oh boy, didn't he? And he used it about 84.2% of the time.
That's about right.
High chop, and that's going to stay fair. Keuchel thought maybe if he didn't touch it, it might go foul, but there it is, just inside the third base line. Fuld with a chopping single gets hit number 2 for the Rays.
I think Dallas did the exact right thing. You take a look at this play. This guy runs decent. What do? Do you catch it and keep running across the line, try to make a throw back? Yeah, let it bounce and see if it goes foul. That's just a ground screw that's done its job too well.
Oh boy.
Perfectly manicured infield.
Yep. So Fuld gets his infield hit. He's 3 for 4 in base stealing. Desmond Jennings the batter. The Rays are 43 and 39. They're in third place in the AL East, 6 games out of the lead. In the dirt for ball 1. And they have consistently been in a spot close to where they are right now the last several years at this point of the season. Very well respected organization, especially considering the payroll for players the last several years.
Al Davis would be proud to own that ball club. Just win, baby, because that's what they've been about.
They have. One with a different cast of characters. 2 balls, no strikes. This is exactly the same record they had last year after 82 games, 43 and 39. In 2011 they were 45 and 37, and so on down the line. Now it's 3-0. Let's see who else is in there with them. The Red Sox lead. The Orioles are 2.5 back. Yankees are a half game behind, and the Blue Jays are 8 games back. Everybody at 500 or better in the AL East.
You know, the Yankees are the club that's falling right now, and they may continue that slide. I think that's a great division. Very tough year in, year out.
It really has been. Strike makes it 3-1.
John Farrell's found a way to get those Red Sox winning. I like the talent that Baltimore has. I don't know that their pitching is going to be enough.
Well, they may have to try to bolster that pitching with a trade. Well, there are tons of trade rumors out there right now. And the deadline is the end of this month of July. Foul back, and it's now a full count on Desmond Jennings. There was a quote from San Francisco general manager Brian Sabean today about making a trade this early. If somebody trades a player on this date, they'll win the deal, and you have to let them win. So in other words, you're better off waiting, and it's hard to swallow. Foul back. Usually you're going to get more near the trade deadline when the bargaining becomes intense.
That 11th hour deal.
The rumors are really flying, though, and it wouldn't be surprising to see trades made earlier than normal this year.
Well, if you can do it and feel like you're not getting pillaged, why not? Take advantage as long as possible.
Runner going, and it's tap foul on 3-2.
Guys, just looking at Joe Madden in the dugout, and he's one of those guys, or he is a guy, the guy, that doesn't try to shoot a bunch of baloney to the players. He doesn't get quoted with things that make you go, well, what a diplomatic thing. He just shoots it straight. And I think the players really respect that.
59 years old, former college quarterback. Former bench coach of the Angels. Runner going again, and it's fouled again. Joe was born in Pennsylvania. This is his 39th season in professional baseball. His 20th at the major league level and his 8th as a major league manager. And an old friend, Jim Hickey, is back. He's the pitching coach of the Tampa Bay Rays.
And you could see players have learned very well to toss things in the air and catch it with their mouth. No bobbles at all.
Runner going, and that's ball 4 now. So it's walk number 3 for Dallas Keuchel. And he'll face Sean Rodriguez next. Full to second base. Rodriguez doubled to left in the first.
That walk may be a case of Dallas Keuchel just refusing to come in, kind of Tom Glavine like, I'll walk you rather than give up a big swing.
Rodriguez the batter, and the Rays are 7th in runs scored in the American League, 378. He takes strike 1. Now, they've won 5 in a row against Houston. These two teams are 6-6 against each other. Last time the Rays came here 2 years ago, they swept a 3-game series. Joe Madden, 2-time manager of the year, has led his club to 5 straight winning seasons, the only 5 winning seasons in the history of the Rays. Fly ball out to right center field. Barnes coming. Barnes to his left. Barnes on the run. Tracks it down. And it's a scoreless second inning with 1 hit and 2 men left. No score after 1 inning.
Hometown Kids every Saturday morning at 9:30 on CSN. Chevy Hometown Kids, where it's not about the score but the experience.
A lot of kids here tonight watching the Astros and the Rays. Game 1 of a 4-game series. No score after 1.5 innings. The Rays have stranded 5 through their first 2 frames. Youngsters munching away, maybe hoping for a foul ball later, as Matt Moore goes to work in the 2nd inning. Julia has something for us. Julia?
Hey, Brownie. Matt Moore threw his first only no-hitter in 2011. He was pitching for the AA affiliate Montgomery. He threw it against Mobile. That was the Diamondbacks AA affiliate. He allowed 2 base runners in that game. Those 2, Jake Elmore, Mark Krause. They remember that night very well. They said he was very good.
Wow. That's an interesting angle.
I'll bet his stuff was absolutely alive at that time.
Know it. That's ball 1 to Carter. Chris at 228 with 15 homers, has 40 runs batted in. And Chris has faced Moore a couple times. He's 0 for 2 against Matt Moore.
I have to say the arm speed just doesn't seem quite the same for Matt Moore as I had seen the last couple of seasons.
1-1. Well, you talked about that 2011 season when he came up and made 3 appearances at the end of the year, and then in the playoffs he was very, very good.
Well, he just lit it up in the postseason.
Had an ERA under 1 for 2 games. 1 as a starter. He won a game in the division series, and that was a real eye-opener. He had committed to the University of New Mexico, but wound up signing with the Rays. His older brother Bobby played for the Lobos. Last year he worked 177 innings for the Rays, struck out 175. Strike, and Carter is caught looking for strikeout victim number 1.
Matt Moore, one of those youngsters who has learned a changeup early on, and when he has the really good fastball, this changeup will strike out a load of hitters. Right now, without the great heater, probably less effective.
Moore had put together a club record 9-game winning streak from his final start of 2012 through that 8-0 start this year. J.D. Martinez at 248 has gone deep 7 times. He's driven in 30. That's ball 1. Moore brings it in for a strike, 1-1. Of course, pitching has been at the forefront of what the Rays have done with their 5 straight winning seasons. This year, as Ash mentioned, they're probably better than the norm offensively, but their ERA is only 10th best in the American League with a 4.16. And maybe they're missing James Shields and Wade Davis a little bit in that regard.
Well, I think without a doubt, James Shields very tough to replace, if possible at all.
It's 2-1, and their whole philosophy is based on developing young players, bringing them up, and succeeding those who get to be too expensive and have to be moved on. Two balls, 2 strikes to J.D. Martinez.
I would have thought, as good a character as James Shields is and the way he carries himself, leads on the field as a pitcher, that he would have been one of those guys they would have loved to have wrapped up.
That bounces for ball 3. They probably would say that they would have loved to keep him, but
yeah,
that didn't fit the payroll plan.
Yeah, I think that's the case. We've seen the comments from James Shields this year. Get next to no run support for Kansas City, pitching great, picking up losses, and all he would say is, I need to pitch better and give us a chance to win, never pointing the finger at the offense.
Strikeout of Martinez. That's number 2 in a row here for Moore. Fastball at 92 for Moore.
I'd call that an average major league fastball, 90 to 92, kind of in that range. Anymore, that's what you see from guys around the big leagues. But he was well on the plus side and is not there right now.
He's thrown ball 1 to the first 5 hitters. Now Matt Dominguez. And there's ball 1 to him. Matt moved up to the number 6 spot in the lineup tonight. 230, 11 homers, 44 runs batted in. Ironic because he's 0 for his last 14. And people have been asking Bo Porter for weeks, well, gee, Matt Dominguez is batting 8th and doing so well. He's leading the club in runs batted in. Do you think you'll move him up? And he's always said, no, he's comfortable where he is. So now he's 0 for 14 and he's been moved up. There's got to be a plan behind that, Ash. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, for me, I like the notion of slotting guys where they can best help the club. This he's comfortable stuff there. Maybe it's true. But I've never heard a guy say, well, gee, don't put me up in one of those key RBI slots.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable there.
3 balls and a strike.
So I don't know. It's just all philosophy.
We'll see how it works. That's hit .236 against lefties this year. Way up and in, and he draws a walk. That's his 11th walk of the year. Number 2 of the night for Moore. And the hope would be on the Astros' part that they can wear him out a little bit by forcing him into deep counts. And Moore said in an article a while back that he does have reduced velocity this year. He doesn't mind that. He would really like to be able to pitch at this speed. It's helping him to use his changeup and his curve, and he's really pitching more, not just throwing, and he would like to get the hitter on 3 pitches, so he's saying all those right things. Now Ronnie Cedeno, the designated hitter, who's hitting .347 against lefties.
Yeah, I don't know that I believe any pitcher who says he's happy with reduced velocity. Now, all the other things, look, I would like to be able to use all these other pitches and pitch in the strike zone and be successful at this speed. Oh, that's well and fine, but anybody who once could blow would still like to really blow.
242 for Cedeno. He gets a slant, and it's good for strike 1. Fastball, curve, and changeup for Moore. His changeup has not been nearly as effective here for the last month or so as it had been earlier. Cedeno DHing again tonight. This is the 4th time he's done that. He puts it foul and out of play. 0-2. Carlos Pena is still away from the Astros club tonight because of a death in the family. And he may be back tomorrow night. Bo Porter said he had told Carlos it's fine if you want to take more time than that. He had to fly to the Dominican Republic. He said take all the time you need.
Is that to say we don't know if we'll see Carlos tomorrow?
I think that is to say that. Yep, sounds like that. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Paredes on deck. As the Astros have a succession of right-handed batters in the lineup against this lefty, and actually right-handed batters have hit 10 points lower on the season against Moore than left-handed batters, except for Castro being the lone lefty tonight. Fouled away. You know, ironically, the Astros, who have struggled so much, they hit .212 as a team in the month of June. They've hit .198 the last 10 days, with a .296 on base average the last 10 days. They just really are hurting for putting men on base right now. Their top on base average hitter right now among the regulars, Carlos Pena, is away from the club. Throw goes over to first. Carlos Corcoran has the highest on base average, but he is the backup catcher. 349 is his OBA. Pena is really the tops among the regulars at 333. That's the highest on base average among the everyday players. Good job there by Lobaton. And it's 2-2. Their team, of course, will go through lulls in a season offensively, and the Astros really have been scratching for runs. They lost to the Angels yesterday 3-1. They dropped a 7-2 game Saturday night. They fell 4-2 Friday night, and that's the way it's been going for them. Averaged 3.3 runs per game in June, going 12 and 15. 12 and 15, yes. Pitch in the dirt. 3 balls, 2 strikes now to Cedeno, and this will be an automatic go for Dominguez. Luke Scott is back in town with the Rays. He said it's the first time he's been in this ballpark since '07 when he played for the Astros. There's Luke. Boney goes behind the base runner at first. Dominguez, who takes off, and it's foul back. Well, in enjoy this indoor comfort, Ash, through Thursday afternoon, the finale of the series at 1:10 Thursday. Then it's to some hot weather cities, Arlington, Texas, and St. Louis, Missouri. Then on down to the Dome in St. Petersburg.
Might be a bit toasty on that trip.
It might be.
Or St. Petersburg, you've got that lovely off-centered tipping dome. That
Catwalk Haven. That's a strikeout on the swing, and it's called by John Hirschbeck, the home plate umpire. Cedeno coming back to press the point with Hirschbeck. But that's going to be the final out, and striking out the side Moore to keep the game scoreless after 2.
CSNHouston.com and click on In-Game Live to enhance your Astros in-game experience on your computer, smartphone, or tablet. Get in-depth stats and join the social buzz. In-Game Live only at CSNHouston.com.
0-0 game, and it's Will Myers leading it off in the third. Big cut, then strike one to Myers, who walked in the first inning. Madden has said about Will Myers, he's not overwhelmed whatsoever. Very comfortable. It's 1-1.
Yeah, I think that's the way you want to feel. Go on out there and play. If you play well, we'll just keep running you out there, and if you struggle, we'll find another way.
2 balls and a strike. 22 years old. Future appears to be extremely bright for Mr. Myers.
I think you ask yourself, does this guy make us better? And if he does, let's go ahead and use the guy.
He grounds that one foul. That's Tom Foley, the third base coach, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Will Myers was leading all of AAA at the time of his promotion in runs batted in with 57. And the Durham Bulls came up with a creative way of promoting him. They created Willville, which was a seating area down the right field line where fans could cheer Myers. They got special T-shirts featuring his smiling face in Willville.
Will brought Willville out to home plate today with the lineup card for Tampa Bay.
Nice.
Watching him with his swing, I would imagine he's primarily a pull type hitter, and the folks down the right field side in Durham maybe didn't get a lot of home runs hit their direction.
It might not have. 3-2. Well, Myers, of course, this spring people were wondering if he would open with the club. He did not, and a lot of people said, well, it's because of service time. They're keeping him in the minor leagues. But of course, last year you had Mike Trout and Bryce Harper winning Rookie of the Year awards without starting the season in the majors.
It worked out pretty well.
Yeah. That's ball 4. Myers takes his second walk of the game, and that's number 4 for Dallas Keuchel.
Bryce Harper due back today.
Guess what he did?
Yeah, what's he done?
After only 2 pitches, he hit a home run. Just off the disabled list.
Well, he's well rested, and when he's well rested, he tends to do that.
He went Oppo off Giovanni Gallardo into the bullpen in Washington.
Pretty special talent.
20 years old. He just came off that knee injury. And he's been on the DL for a while now.
I think you asked, does this young kid make us better? Better than when we have other guys in there?
Zobrist bunts, and it goes foul over into the camera box where Mike Brady comes up with it. Brady with good range to his right. Snagged that one barehanded. And it was tossed up to a fan. He had to keep the left hand on the camera, though.
Now, do you find that range it varies from one side to the other?
It really does. But when you have a 24-to-1 zoom lens, that's the great equalizer, Ash.
I'll tell you what, I learned so much sitting next to you.
Okay, I'm wrong. It's 100-to-1.
Okay.
But it was close. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I still don't understand where that fits in with the range to left or right, but I'll think about it.
Well, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't always work. It doesn't always fit in. We are guilty of non sequiturs all the time here. And 1 to Zobrist. Zobrist from Eureka, Illinois, went to Dallas Baptist. And last year he hit 20 homers, drove in 74 runs. He's had a few years like that with the Rays. High chop to third and foul. 1 and 2. Zobrist, of course, as he came up through the Astros system, he was a 6th round pick, and he was attracting some attention. The Astros were in contention in the 06 season. They wanted the left-handed veteran bat of Aubrey Huff, so they included Zobrist in the deal. Well, that has not worked out too well, has it?
You know what he does? He hits with some power. He's a gap hitter. He hits in key situations. He swings from both sides. He plays defense all over the place. Joe Madden, you know, we talked about guys that he likes to have. This is the classic guy that he likes to have. He'll play on a 4-game series like this one. It's possible to see Zobrist start at 4 different positions.
Wow.
And he'll play them exceptionally well.
That is very hard to find. And he gets on base. He had 97 walks last year, 2nd in the American League. Got some thump. Line shot, left field corner. J.D. Martinez goes after it into that corner. Here's Myers getting a stop sign from Foley at third base. And it's a double from Zobrist, his 20th 2-base hit. 2nd and 3rd, nobody out for the Rays in the 3rd.
Well, from this right side of the plate, very right-hand dominant as he just kind of swings down through the baseball much of the time, hangs out the line shot, and there's one of your 2-base hits for Ben Zobrist. Again, he's been an all-star. I don't know what position you put him at as an all-star because he plays all over.
22 base hits for Zobrist, and that sets it up for Escobar. Escobar walked in the 1st inning. Didn't watch him when he was in the on-deck circle, and he probably does not do it anymore, but when he was with the Braves in the on-deck circle, he used to jump up in the air and click his spikes together.
I've seen him do that quite a bit. He'll come up to home plate, actually, and in between pitches do that. Maybe just trying to create some of that spring in the legs that one of us here doesn't have at all anymore.
Boy. Yeah, that's pretty unusual. Actually, Eric Young does that before our pregame shows.
I think he had the whole studio doing it today.
.279 with runners in scoring position for Yunel Escobar of Havana, Cuba.
Players used to say, drink some milk when you see a guy with that much energy.
Infield lays back, and it's a ball. That makes it 3-0 on Escobar.
Saw EY's talented young son making a fine diving catch.
Did he?
Yesterday as part of the New York Metsies.
Was he in right field?
I believe he was in left. On highlight plays, sometimes it's hard to tell, but I thought that's where he was coming from.
Real pitch is there for a strike for Dallas Keuchel of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the University of Arkansas. Shooting for win number 5 tonight. Lucas Harrell pitched a fine game yesterday. 7 innings of 6-hit, 1-run baseball. Got a no decision. Really threw the ball well. That's in for a strike. Now 3-2 on Escobar.
This is all about philosophy. Do you want the guy that draws the walk in the 3-0, 3-1, or do you want the guy that drives in the runs? I like that run producer anytime you can get it.
He taps it foul.
Now, I don't know what Escobar's role is that he's talked with Joe Madden about. Get on base as much as possible. That's great. But if you've got that guy that just salivates over the opportunity to drive in some runs, that guy's so valuable.
That's David Price leaning on that rail up there watching the game. He's tomorrow night's starting pitcher. He'll be coming off the 15-day disabled list against Eric Bedard. Fouled away. David Price is 1-4 with a 5.24 ERA for his first 9 starts.
He is the reigning Cy Young Award winner in the American League, so that's very surprising.
Last year he was 20-5 with a 2.56 earned run average.
And despite that, he won the Cy Young Award.
Strike 3. Oh, Escobar's jumping now on that call by John Hirschbeck. He is upset. Big out number 1 for Keuchel.
Not sure I disagree with Escobar here. This curveball tries to come back, but at the plate, I just can't agree that this gets back to the plate.
How about on the side version?
Well, you can see that it's high enough. No question about that.
Okay.
Yeah, from back there, you can't really see the plate. Dallas makes a great pitch. No question.
That's one big out. Now Loney's the batter, and the third baseman Dominguez is in even with the base. Loney was a strikeout victim. He tried to check his swing. That's a good breaker for strike 1. 79, 80-mile-per-hour curveball from Keuchel. He's done that a couple times tonight on the first pitch in the count.
Especially with these left-hand hitters.
Loney's hitting .375 against lefties. Fly ball near the left field corner. J.D. Martinez over, running out of room, makes the catch. Now here the runner tags at third and comes home to score to make it 1-0. Sacrifice fly for Loney. 41 runs batted in. That scores Myers. Zobrist holding at second. A 1-0 game now.
Yeah, that combination with Loney being good against lefties and Keuchel struggling against the lefties, a rough combination. You can see Loney's one of those guys that seems to really desire that opportunity to drive in a run.
Did you think that ball was caught in fair territory?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was going to say, yeah, that's a great question. I'm sorry I kind of cut you off there, but that was close, wasn't it?
It was very close. And, you know, somebody out there is going to be asking, why didn't he let it drop?
Yeah.
Well, you know, early in a ball game, you want the out.
Let's see. What do you think? If you let that drop, where's it going to land? And
exactly.
Well, you really get embarrassed if that comes down and catches a piece of chalk.
That's too close to let it drop. Now Roberts the batter. He jacks one to left field. Martinez looks up, and that one reaches the seats. 2-run homer by Roberts. That's number 4. And it's 3-0 Tampa Bay Rays as Roberts now has driven in 15.
But both pitchers have struggled with their command here tonight, and if you can pick out a spot where you think you know what's coming, get it, and jump on it, there's a breaking ball to start things. Dallas may be setting the tone with too many breaking balls on that first pitch. That's
the 13th homer allowed by Dallas Keuchel. 77 innings. Lobaton fouls it for strike one. So Roberts unloads to give the Rays a 3-0 lead. Just rejoining the ball club from the minor leagues over the weekend. Came up on Saturday. Foul back, and Castro is off with a mask to squeeze it for the final out in the top of the third. 3-run scoring on 2 hits. Tampa Bay 3, Houston 0.
Tampa Bay in time for our progressive fan of the game. I've got John and little Caden here, and I've got a goodie bag for you. Here you go, John. Now, Caden, I asked if he'd talk to me, but he's a little shy, so we're going to go to Dad here. What brings you guys out today?
I'm taking Caden out to watch a good baseball game, watch the Astros. I haven't been out in a while. Just checking out the game. Me and my son. Get him a hot dog, popcorn, have a good time with the kiddo.
Too shy. Let's see if we can get him to say anything. Caden, you having a good time?
Yes.
Oh, he did. He told me he wasn't going to say a word. Well, keep having a good time. Thank you for talking to me. Brownie.
Julia, you are a great interviewer. You got that kid to talk.
That's right.
Yeah, that's his first word ever on television, probably, too. So, congratulations for that.
Find out how the hot dogs are.
He won't be talking much if he gets around one of those. Astros Trivia tonight is brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. Let's see what we have, Ash. In the last 5 seasons, which 4 pitchers under age 25 have won at least 10 games by the end of June? Under the age of 25.
Now, is this one of those 5 seasons?
Yes. Jimmy Paredes takes, and it's strike one to Jimmy. Jimmy at 190 has 1 homer and 7 runs batted in.
So one of those guys may be on the hill here this evening.
Let's go ahead and go with Matt Moore.
Okay.
Ground ball, and that's foul. 0-2. Should we go with David Price while we're at it?
I think that would be fair.
Okay. Let's see what other young phenoms have racked up the wins before the end of June in the last 5 years.
Ooh, that's good stuff.
Maybe did Tim Lincecum do it? He might not have done it.
2 Cy Young awards already.
Yeah, let's go with him. How about Clayton Kershaw? There's a strikeout.
Great call.
Jimmy down as strikeout victim number 4 for Matt Moore.
See how this works. Brownie gets all the guesses in, and I evaluate how good that guess may have been.
Well, that's okay. You're kind of the chancellor of the exchequer.
How's that?
Brandon Barnes at 263 has 3 homers and 17 runs batted in. Well, you're in charge of quality control.
Thanks.
There's ball 1. Barnes trying to get something rolling. Moore is not allowed to hit. He's walked 2. That's in the air to right center field. Jennings back for it, but the right fielder Fuld makes the catch. 2 down. We have an answer for you. We do have an answer, Ash. First of all, We'll revisit the question for those who have joined us in the last 20 seconds. In the last 5 years, which 4 pitchers under the age of 25 have won at least 10 games by the end of June?
How about Hellickson?
Ooh, Hellickson would be. Let's see if he's on there. No.
I was just kidding with that one.
Madison Bumgarner did it. Phil Hughes and David Price. So Kershaw did not do it. Interesting stuff. Now Elmore, and he takes strike 1. Elmore worked the count full before he popped a shortstop. It's 1-1. Hey, a couple of longtime friends are watching tonight. Jim and John Johnson. John is here from Colorado, and Jim lives here.
Jim Johnson, the guy who's leading the American League in saves?
He is, yes. He got another save today at lunch, in fact. He saved a check.
Well done.
There's a shot up the middle into center field. Elmore with a sharp single, and that gets the Astros in the hit column for the first time. Well hit.
Well, Jake gets himself a pitch up through the heart of the plate and handles it very well. He's got to be able to continue to swing that bat to be a guy who factors in maybe toward the future.
That's true.
Is he a utility guy? Is he out to prove that he can play some shortstop?
Well, he's 26 years old. This is a big opportunity for him. He was with Arizona for 68 at bats last year. Jose Altuve walked his first time up. That's ball 1 to Altuve.
Yeah, you've seen what the Angels, for example, have done with J.B. Shuck in left field. A guy that may not have been viewed as an everyday player, but he's played quite well.
It's a good example of somebody who can seize a job when there's an opportunity. And it may happen, as it did with J.B. Shuck, because of an injury. Peter Borges went down. They gave him a chance to play, and then Borges came back and he didn't play, and then Borges is hurt again, so he's playing again.
Injuries are always a factor. Tampa Bay, Sam Fuld playing in right field here this evening.
Yeah, Evan Longoria's had plantar fasciitis, so he's not in the lineup at all tonight, even DHing. He might DH tomorrow from what we're hearing.
Think about plantar fasciitis is it's not a 1 or 2 day heal kind of a deal, and I really wonder how that winds up working out the rest of the year. Terrific player.
Yes, he really is. He's one of the very best, and he has 17 homers to lead the Rays, and also 47 runs batted in, leads their club. An OPS of over 900 for Longoria. Fly ball goes toward the seats outside the right field line and out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Trade rumors, Ash.
Bring him.
Philadelphia, Cliff Lee, Jonathan Papelbon, Michael Young, thought to be available in deals. Miami, Ricky Nolasco, Steve Cishek, perhaps Giancarlo Stanton, but you'd have to knock them over with a package.
I would think everybody on that Miami team, with the possible exception of Stanton, would be available.
Milwaukee, Giovanni Gallardo.
Pretty good right-hander.
Yeah, he's making some money. Runner going, swing and a miss. And Altuve strikes out to end the Astros' third. Strikeout number 5 already for Moore. He leads it 3-0.
stay with the Astros. Wednesday, July 3rd, the Astros face off against the Tampa Bay Rays at 7:10 with patriotic post-game fireworks. Then Thursday, 4th of July, come out for a 1:10 first pitch against the Rays with a special pregame military parade. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS for tickets, guys.
Patriotic time coming up. Thanks, Julia. And that'll be it for home games up to the All-Star break here at Minute Maid Park for the Astros. Sam Fuld leads it off in the 4th inning. He got an infield hit. And now a fly ball on a broken bat to right field. Jimmy Paredes in. 1 pitch, 1 out for Dallas Keuchel. Yeah, Jimmy was saying, he had been in the original lineup yesterday, and then he had to be scratched because of travel complications. He said, boy, there were a lot of people at that airport. They were all trying to get on my flight. So he arrived. He got here before game time, but because of all that uncertainty about arrival time and what have you, Bo Porter moved back his start to tonight. Desmond Jennings, the batter. Jennings looks at it. It's strike 1 to him. Jennings is grounded out and walked.
When you take a look at young players, and Jimmy Paredes certainly fits in that category, you want to see results. No doubt about that. And he brought some results when he first showed up in his first call up this year. Primarily from the left side of the plate, but then struggled, and the defensive woes factored in. But if you just talk tools, if you were having a tryout camp, he is, in my mind, a guy who would stand out. Now you have to find out, can you translate those tools into becoming a winning player?
That's true. Foul ball keeps the count at 0-2. Speaking of tools, Carlos Correa has been voted into that futures game.
And well, he should be.
Yeah, he belongs, and the fans voted him in for that final spot. 18 years old.
Glad to see that.
He's on the World Team roster. No balls, 2 strikes. So a very exciting time for Carlos Correa. He received the most fan votes among 5 candidates for that final spot, and he's joining George Springer and Delino DeShields. They're on the U.S. team, so he'll be opposing them, actually. But that's okay. They're all lined up there for that game at Citi Field.
Yeah, for me, the 2 mandates for that game from the Astros organization would be Springer and Correa.
Correa is hitting .323 in the Midwest League. Has a .408 on base average. Very fine season for Correa. Tapped off the glove of Keuchel. It goes out to shortstop. There's a hurrying Elmore who makes the nice play. We're out number 2, and he had to make that throw on the run and a little bit off balance.
Yeah, I kind of wondered, did he need to make it that way, or could he have gotten the feet immediately in position and humped up a little bit? But it was a close play at first base. Well done when it's all said and done.
Yeah, Jennings runs pretty well. There's a bouncer foul, third base side by Sean Rodriguez. Rodriguez has doubled, and he's fly to center where Barnes made a good running catch on him.
You know, the well-shaved Jake Elmore has been solid defensively tonight.
Well, he shaved that play pretty closely, but I like the way he fielded it actually on his right side, Ash.
Yeah?
It might not be textbook, but he got it out of his glove faster.
Yeah, from that side you will.
Okay. No balls, 2 strikes to Sean Rodriguez. Boy, the Rays, you're right about this AL East. What a difficult division. Every year it's the Yankees and Boston and now Toronto. And then there's Baltimore. That's one rough division. 1-2. And they have a record of 20-24 against the teams in their division. So they're probably looking at this series. Hey, we've got to fatten the cat a little bit from somebody outside our division. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Of course, it's probably easy to look at that division this year and say, well, let's just pass over the Yankees. You haven't been able to do that in the past. And even this year, they played well over what maybe they should have.
Liner left. That's a hit in front of J.D. Martinez. Sean Rodriguez is 2 for 3. A-Rod now is going to begin his rehab assignment this week.
He can't wait to get back.
And Derek Jeter is running again. Not sure how far he is from a rehab assignment.
And running outdoors, I might add. whatever that means.
So A-Rod now cleared officially. We know that it's true now. Cleared to start the rehab. Bryce Harper returns with a home run, his first at bat tonight after missing 31.
Got an email for you here from Brian Cashman, by the way, Brownie.
Marmol rumored to be on the trading block, and Yasiel Puig 44 hits in his first month in the majors. What?
It's insane.
He's hit .436. That's the highest batting average ever for a major league player in his first calendar month. And Will Myers was strike one. Myers has walked twice.
Puig mania.
Boy, that's been a sensation.
You know, they draw great crowds in LA, but he's turned everything around there in terms of the enthusiasm for that club and the way they've been winning.
Yes. No balls, 2 strikes. So all the payroll they have out there, all the star power. And it's somebody who was not even on the radar screen for most people. Even though his signing, a Cuban-born player, did attract some attention. But still, who knew he could do this? Now 1-2 to Will Myers.
On a very different note, former great catcher Darren Dalton of the Philadelphia Phillies has had brain tumors removed, and apparently successfully, and hope all is well with Darren.
Absolutely. Boy, he had some good years. He played for a long time on bad knees too.
Bad knees, and he grounded out.
Foul back. Dutch Dalton. He had some really good home run and RBI years.
Talk about gamers. I guess he'd be on your list.
He would be on there. Yeah. The Rays got into it a little bit with Detroit over the weekend with some beanball action. Seemed to have settled things yesterday and moved on. I believe they're finished with the season series for the year.
Well, a little head hunting on Miguel Cabrera will make news.
And then he squawked about it, and Joe Madden had a problem with him yelling about it.
Don't imagine Joe came charging out of the dugout.
No, he didn't do that. Swing and a miss for a strikeout for Dallas Keuchel. It's no runs, a hit, and a man left. It's strikeout number 3 for Dallas. It's 3-0 Rays. Moment in history is brought to you by MD Anderson, making cancer history. Let's see what we have for you tonight, Ash. July 1st, 1982. Considered a questionable decision at the time because of his height, Cal Ripken is moved from third base to shortstop by Orioles manager Earl Weaver. The 6'4" future Hall of Famer takes over the job from 8-time Gold Glover Mark Belanger. That worked out pretty well.
Yeah, and what is it you want me to say?
Earl
Weaver was never wrong, Brownie. He threw his hat in the dirt, kicked it a while, and said he's playing shortstop.
You're right. And Earl was right about a lot of things. Not necessarily according to the umpire's viewpoint.
Wow. He led some good clubs, didn't he?
Oh. Jason Castro bounced into a double play earlier. He gets a first pitch curve from Matt Moore for strike one. Moore struck out 5. Fans can still donate new or gently used books here at the community clubhouse at Minute Maid Park. The remainder of this homestand is a part of the Castro's Kids Book Drive, organized by Jason and his wife Maris. You can donate age appropriate books for children K through 12. That's gone pretty well, Jason said. He doesn't have a number yet on books donated, but if you don't have a book, if you realize when you come out to a game, hey, I forgot my books, you can donate cash. That is accepted. And the community clubhouse, by the way, is just inside Union Station as you come into the ballpark. 2 balls and a strike as he tries to reach against Moore, trailing 3-0.
Well, there's that heater at 95. That is what this guy looked like a couple of years ago and much of last year. Really 2 years ago. Things are starting to loosen up.
Yeah. After 55 pitches, he's getting there. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Apparently there's a break-in period.
There must be. Somebody's suggesting that he starts warming up about 5 o'clock now, probably.
Seen that happen.
Foul ball.
Not quite 5, but some of those guys who just couldn't throw strikes early in a ball game primarily, or just gave it up every time they'd run out there. Skip would say, run them out to the bullpen about 30 minutes early. See how that works out.
Oh boy.
Sometimes. Never know.
And you'd be afraid that the 4th inning you'd be done.
20 pitches has he thrown, bullpen included?
Yeah. Leadoff walk to Castro, walk number 3 or more. Nobody's reached second yet for Houston. Chris Carter will follow. Hitting coach John Maley was commenting about Chris Carter during batting practice tonight. He sees improvement in Chris in the swings that he's taken the last week or so. Carter was caught looking in the 2nd inning. He's reached base in 13 straight games. He's walked 9 times in the last 11 games. And he hits one into left center field. Picked up by Jennings on the backhand side. First to third. Castro on a sharp single by Carter. That's hit number 2. Good base running by Castro to smoothly get to third base.
That looked like a sculled golf ball coming off the bat.
It did, didn't it?
And it was just riding through there. Watch this thing. Just hanging and hooking.
Yeah. Ugly low duck hook.
That's the way you want to see Chris Carter hitting them.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Hitter in baseball.
Yeah, not pretty on the golf course, but that'll work right here.
Oh yeah, that would have rolled all the way to City Hall. Now J.D. Martinez. He struck out in the 2nd inning. The Astros have something going with Dominguez on deck. J.D. tops it foul. There's strike 1 to him. The Blue Jays knocked off Detroit today 8-3. R.A. Dickey pitched them to their 7th straight home win. No balls, 2 strikes. Dickey's now 8-8. And he got home run support from Mark DeRosa with number 5 and Jose Reyes number 3. Infante and Fielder went deep for the Tigers. Fielder hit a massive home run against the Rays over the weekend. It hit the catwalk out in right field. Martinez strikes out. Boy, is that a big out for Moore. Out number 1, strikeout number 6.
Munenori Kawasaki is back letting the good times roll in Toronto again. They've got him almost immediately back. This slider tough to lay off. That's the story I had heard. Let me verify.
Well, it's Kind of a heartwarming story. They didn't want to send him down.
Yeah, that was a really nice thing that John Gibbons, the skipper, did to not send him down until he could do it in front of the entire team and make sure everybody got a chance to say goodbye and wish him well.
Dominguez with strike one. That is the club's RBI leader with 44. Big situation here. It was first and third, nobody out. Now after the Martinez strikeout, he's trying to pick up the Astros, get them on the board for the first time. And out to second base. There's the toss. Escobar, the middleman, on a 4-6-3 double play started by Zobrist. No runs a hit, a man left, and after 4, it's 3-0 Rays.
Then Family Night is back Saturday, July 20th. The Astros take on the Mariners at 6:10 with an inspirational post-game concert featuring 10th Avenue North. Your game ticket is also your ticket to the concert. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com for tickets today. Brownie.
Thank you, Julia. Faith and Family Night, July 20th. These fans watched as the Astros put runners at first and third, had nobody out, and then Moore got out of it with a strikeout and a 4-6-3 double play. Now as Dallas Keuchel goes to the mound for the 5th inning, he trails 3-0. It'll be Zobrist, Escobar, and Loney due up. Dallas in his last 5 starts has gone 3-2 with a 2.59 ERA, walking 5 and striking out 26. Tonight he's walked 4 and struck out 3. Zobrist had a double and scored in the 3rd inning. He looks at strike 1. There's a rain delay in Cincinnati. The Reds are leading the Giants 8-1 in the top of the 7th inning. Giants 3 games under 500. 1 ball, 1 strike. Brandon Belt hit his 9th home run for San Francisco. Todd Frazier, number 10 for Cincinnati. Got to be a little concerned in San Francisco about that club, doesn't there?
Mid-season and really floundering.
Bouncer foul. 1-2.
Former teammate Bruce Bochy just seems to be able to take that club and just will them to win.
He does. He does an amazing job with that team. There's a shot foul. He went out and hooked that one. Still 1-2. But now Arizona's in first by 2 games over Colorado coming into play today. Rockies, of course, do not have Troy Tulowitzki. San Diego's only 2.5 back. San Francisco 3. Los Angeles 4. 5 teams within 4 games of each other in one division. That's pretty amazing. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Every time I even think about San Diego, I just find them astounding what they've done this year. And I don't even know the level of talent they have. All I know is it's unheralded, unpredicted. Bud Black has done a great job.
He really has. Bronson Arroyo's pitching well tonight for the Reds. Kickham started for the Giants. He lasted 2 2/3 innings.
He should be a Dallas Cowboy, I think.
Yeah. He should be a Cowboy punter. Line drive over toward the left field corner. J.D. Martinez over. One down. Zobrist like he was trying to reach out and pull everything Keuchel through that time.
See on the right side how he gets real right hand, top hand dominant. And it just looks like everything's going to yank in that left field direction.
Escobar's next. Escobar struck out looking in the third. He walked his first time up. Yeah, that Giant club would be one to watch as far as the trade market goes. There's ball one.
There's a rumor out there as we speak that Dodgers might have a deal hooked up. See if I can find that right now. And that with the Cubs, Marmol, possibly a future Dodger.
Well, they could use bullpen help. 1-1 if you consider him bullpen help.
Just going to say in Chicago they may not view Marmol as being bullpen help right now.
Yeah. It's 2-1. And Kevin Towers, the general manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks, has paralyzed vocal cords right now. He may have to do his trade talking on the computer.
I'm going to say the phone calls are going to be tough to answer that way.
3-1. And this Marmol trade we're hearing might depend on whether the Dodgers pick up the salary of Marmol. Well, what the heck?
What the heck, huh?
At this point, what the heck?
It's only a dent in a demolished vehicle.
That's walk number 5. But you know, some teams go all in. Well, the Yankees used to do this. What's another 8 or 9 million?
They didn't even bother answering that question. They just gave him the look. We're the Yankees.
But now they've gotten fiscally responsible.
More so, huh?
And yet this is the year you might expect they'd go out and add somebody. They're hurt.
Have you noticed what they're paying A-Rod?
Yeah. Paul Clemens is warming up in the bullpen. This is 96 pitches for Keuchel, and 60 have been strikes. Clemens warming up. Loney will be the batter. It'll be lefty on lefty if he stays in, and it appears that he will.
Looked like nothing but positive from Doug Brocail there at the hill, and just letting his left-hander know, I got your back. You go ahead and get mine right now and get this out.
And if he does on Loney, then that might be his last batter. 4 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 5 walks, 3 strikeouts. He's walked 4 in a game twice before tonight, so this is his high. And yet he could get out of it with a double play ball on Loney. There's strike 1.
But again, it's one of those curious matchups. If Bo Porter's thinking like you allude to right there, maybe this is the last guy he faces. Loney's done well against the lefties, and Dallas has done poorly against left-hand hitters.
Yeah. Roberts is on deck. He homered last time, so it would be surprising if Dallas were to stay in to face him again. Getting near 100 pitches. Clemens warming up. Foul back by Loney.
That's a sizable advantage that Loney seems to have against lefties this year. 375 versus 291.
Do you have any explanation for that?
You know, I've been around some left-hand hitters that'll just talk incessantly about what they try to do against left-hand pitching, how they'll try to keep that front shoulder in and hit the ball to the gap the other way, and they've got it worked out, and it really seems to play out. And then you wonder why maybe that doesn't translate against the right-hand hitters. They don't have a great answer, but a lot of effort put in against the lefties.
That's a strikeout. That's number 4. Keuchel wins that time.
And then there's that.
Go figure.
Yeah, you can talk and plan and everything, but if you make the pitches, oftentimes you'll get the guy.
Well, he hit a first pitch curveball for that homer, and now Dallas is going to be allowed to face Roberts again. Roberts is 1 for 2. So show of faith by Bo Porter and his left-hander. And that's strike 1.
Well, it comes with the heater this time. Pitch 100. You play that guessing game as a hitter. I hit a curveball last time for a home run. What's he going to throw? You know what? He might try to come right back with the curveball, I'll guess. And that could have been what led to the take of the fastball.
That might. Looping line drive hit to left field. Not hit all that well, but Roberts is 2 for 3. And now Lobaton is coming up. Runners at first and second and 2 outs.
And Lobaton being a switch hitter leaves you as a manager thinking, well, you know, I really can't change the scenario right here a lot.
Nope. You can pick his less favorable side. Lobaton is from Venezuela. He began his career in the Padre organization. He's grounded back to the pitcher and fouled out to the catcher.
Lobaton marginally better against the right-handed or the left-hand pitchers rather when he hits right-handed.
He's hitting .344 with runners in scoring position. 32 at bats. That's not a good swing. Strike 1 to Lobaton.
That swing would say you got the correct guy on the hill.
Sure would.
It's kind of the I was just kidding swing.
Yeah.
Kids, don't do it this way.
Ground ball foul makes no balls, 2 strikes to Lobaton. Lobaton last year was limited to 50 starts with the Rays by a sore right shoulder. He came into this season with a .202 major league average for 218 at bats, so he's done quite a lot better. That's in the dirt. Castro comes up with it, and it's 1-2 for Dallas Keuchel. Yankees 3, Twins 3. They've played 5 at Target Field with Andy Pettitte on the mound and Scott Diamond for Minnesota. Justin Morneau's name is out there in trade rumors.
That's intriguing.
There's a shot past the diving third baseman Dominguez. It kicks out towards center field. That'll score 1 and make it 4-0 on an RBI single by Lobaton. He hit it hard past Dominguez. That's RBI number 19. Scoring Escobar, who walked.
Well, a much better swing right here as he got the pitch in on the hands. And when you get that pitch, that's what you'd love to be able to do, is just hit it sharply inside the bag at third.
That's 7 hits now for the Rays. Sam Fuld is the batter. Fuld is 1 for 2. Yeah, in fact, Morneau might be attracting interest from the Yankees.
Yeah, he's having, I guess, a comeback season. He has not had that power again like he used to employ.
Strike to Fuld. Fuld last year missed the first 96 games after right wrist surgery. Was limited to 98 at bats. He's 31 years old. Went to Stanford. That's a strike, and it's 0-2. Fuld was drafted by the Cubs, traded to Tampa Bay in the Matt Garza deal. He hits a looping liner, and that's into right center field. Run number 5 comes home. Picked up by Paredes. He throws it in towards second base. RBI single for Fold. So the 7, 8, 9 hitters with consecutive 2-out hits give the Rays a couple more runs. And it's 5-0 Tampa Bay. And Bo Porter comes out.
Not a great swing, just a great job handling a tough slider down and away. Can't fault Dallas Keuchel at all there. Simply have to say the hitter did a terrific job.
Tampa Bay leads at 5-0. We'll be right back. Scoring twice in the 5th inning to add to their lead. That has prompted a pitching change. Bo Porter going to his rookie right-hander Paul Clemens. Clemens comes in with runners at first and third, 2 outs to face Desmond Jennings. He's 4-3 with an ERA of 4.50.
25th appearance for Mr. Clemens. He's worked 40 innings and he's allowed 37 hits, 30 strikeouts, walking 14. And very effective at times.
Yeah, he has had some outstanding appearances in his rookie season.
Good over-the-top curveball to go with a live heater.
Dallas Keuchel now on the bench after throwing 109 pitches, working 4 2/3. So far, he's allowed 8 hits, 5 runs, walking 5, fanning 4. The runners at first and third are his responsibility, and Jennings at the plate 0 for 2 with a walk. Rays have 8 hits, including a 2-run homer by Roberts and a couple of doubles. Also with those 5 walks, they have had constant traffic on the bases. They've had base runners in every inning, and they've left 6. Astros meanwhile have been held to 2 singles through the first 4 by lefty Matt Moore, who's shooting for his 11th win. That would put him in elite company if he gets it tonight. In the air, and Dominguez looks out toward the seats in foul ground, and that's where it goes. Jennings behind 0-1. Astros relievers have 8 wins. They have 18 losses. Moore getting ready to go back out there. Clemens took the loss against the Angels on Friday, gave up 1 run in 1 of the 3rd innings. That's a foul ball out of play, and it's 0-2 to Jennings. Paul Clemens, 25 years old, from Columbia, South Carolina, was drafted by the Braves in the 7th round in 2008. The Astros got him in the Michael Bourne trade in 2011.
Paul has one of those stretch deliveries that is really borderline in terms of what you allow as an umpire. Watch when he comes set. There's the hand set. Now watch the front leg. A couple of times. Make that move as if he's going to start. Never changes that set position.
Good block, but the runner advances on it. Wild pitch, and Fuld is at second base.
And Fuld, a good base runner, reads this curveball in the dirt very well. But yeah, it's just really a borderline allowable delivery that not only Clemens but a number of guys will have as they come. Well, you determine it's set when the hand and glove stop. I would if he doesn't make any further moves, but he's allowed to move that front leg.
Okay. That was the second wild pitch of the year for Paul Clemens. Andrew Friedman is the young president of the Tampa Bay Rays. He's a Houston native. Haven't heard if he's in town or not on this trip. It's 1-2, and for years the former general manager of the Astros, Jerry Hunsaker, worked for the Rays in their front office, but he has switched allegiances over the winter, and he's now with the Dodgers.
I'm going to bet he's a big Puig fan right about now.
Know it. Out to shortstop. Elmore with a throw. Low throw, but Carter saves him by digging it out to the backhand side. And the Rays come up with 2 runs on 3 consecutive hits. They lead it 5-0. Blue Painters tape. Scotch Blue. See what you can do. See what we can do with this. Matt Moore is pitching tonight and shooting for win number 11, Ash. And he's walked 3 and 6 and has 2 double plays.
And his stuff has been getting steadily better since first pitch of the ball game, and that probably doesn't bode well for the guys. Astros had a chance with a couple of runners aboard. 4th inning, but they just couldn't make anything happen.
As he goes back out for the 5th, the qualifying inning for a win for a starting pitcher. He has a 5-0 lead. And it'll be Cedeno leading it off. Carlos Correa left the game tonight for Quad Cities after being hit on the right hand by a pitch. Earlier this year, he had to miss time after being hit on the hand by a pitch. Ronnie Cedeno struck out in the 2nd inning. Cedeno looks at it. It's ball 1. Washington is blitzing Milwaukee 10-5 after 8 tonight in Washington, and Giovanni Gallardo had a rough night. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gallardo in 3 innings allowed 9 hits and 8 earned runs. His ERA for the season is now 4.78. Bryce Harper tagged him for a home run in the first, his 13th of the year. Ricky Weeks is at his 9th. Juan Francisco is 10th for the Brewers. 1-2, so that may dampen some of the enthusiasm for a trade for Gallardo on the part of other teams. That may curb their enthusiasm.
I was going to say, is that show dampen your enthusiasm?
Yeah, that's a new hit show.
That Larry David never quits, does he?
No. Cedeno's down on strikes. That's number 7.
Yeah, the changeup, the impacting pitch right here for the strikeout. And again, the better that fastball is for Matt Moore, the more effective that changeup can be.
That's 90 strikeouts now for him this season, and Jimmy Paredes is the batter. Jimmy struck out in the 3rd inning. Jimmy said he's been switch hitting since he was 7 years old. There's ball 1. He said when he bats right-handed, he uses a little bit bigger bat, about an inch longer and an ounce heavier from the right side. Ground ball behind 3rd, backhanded. Roberts throwing to get him. 2 outs.
Well, that switch hitting is great if you can make it work. You can see on the backhand side, Ryan Roberts, who's already flexed muscles, hitting a home run tonight, able to make a good strong throw. But the switch hitting is a tough chore when you're trying to be big league ready and good on both sides of the plate. It's a tough assignment.
There it is. 2 outs now, and Roberts is doing his best impersonation of Evan Longoria.
Not bad there.
Barnes, showing bunt, takes a strike.
Yeah, you feel like with Evan Longoria not in the lineup, maybe you catch a break tonight, but Ryan Roberts has gone to town.
Crazy the way that can happen sometimes, isn't it? In a baseball game.
Don't try to guess going in, that's for sure.
No balls, 2 strikes. Roberts just called up again from AAA on Saturday and having a big game tonight. He's 2 for 3. A homer, 2 runs batted in, 2 runs scored. Good play there. Backhanded. Here's the long throw from the hole by Escobar, and out is a call at first, and here comes Bo Porter. James Hoy made the out call, and it took Bo about 2 seconds to get out there. That is out number 3. On a close call, it looked as if Barnes had beaten that throw, at least to the naked eye. Let's see what it looks like from this one.
Is that good throwing arm from Escobar? Does it get him, though? No, he does not.
And it's 5-0 Tampa Bay.
This year's MLB All-Star Game at Citi Field in New York. The best players from the American League take on the best in the National League to compete for home field advantage in the World Series, guys.
Thanks, Julia. We look forward to that one. That last call to end the inning went against the Astros. Barnes had beaten the throw from Escobar. Now the game moves to the 6th inning. Sean Rodriguez leads it off. He's 2 for 3. Hits one in the air, and Barnes breaks over toward left center after taking a false step and gets there for out number 1. Let's look back at that play.
Well, that's clearly beating the play, and it's hard to understand why a call like this is missed, because you should be able to see the runner getting to and through that bag as the catch is made. Brandon Barnes looked like he showed a little anger in making the catch to start this top of the inning.
Can't blame him.
That hurts when you don't get hits you feel like you've earned.
Strike to Will Myers. Myers has 2 walks. He scored a run. He struck out.
So why does baseball accept what other sports don't accept?
Good question.
Why is it that the umpires can demand and win out that fans can't take a look at that call here in the stadium? Other sports do.
You're asking a lot of questions.
Well, that's just 2, but I've got more coming your way. May not happen tonight.
Here's one from a famous musical. Why can't a woman be more like a man? As long as we're throwing questions out there, it's 1 and 2.
You sound to me like you just don't want to respond.
Well, this could be one of those nights when we don't have answers, only questions.
It's rhetorical night at the ballpark.
Yes, it is. Brought to you by the American Bar Association. Struck him out looking. Myers is caught. Around number 2.
I'm going to see if the bar is firing those questions. You have to respond legally.
That's right. Lemons dropped the hook on him. But what about calls in the NBA? Those judgment calls.
Well, did he foul him? Did he travel? I can say yes to the latter every time. Yeah, he traveled. Of course, they don't even question those.
Benjamin Zobrist is 1 for 3. So you would say that every time down the court somebody traveled?
Well, you know, I wouldn't say every time. You could have grammar school kids count the number of steps that a player had taken before shooting, getting rid of the basketball, and it could be a form of learning to count to 10.
Ooh. 1 ball, 2 strikes. How do you propose to take care of that issue in the NBA?
I don't see it coming, but sure would be good for the kids
Well,
and the game.
Once you fix baseball, you can move on to the NBA.
Thanks for the encouragement. Well, I think we should be better than this, shouldn't we?
Give Meta World Peace a chance.
He's given basketball a chance.
It's 2 balls, 2 strikes to Zobrist. Make it 2 balls and 1 strike to Zobrist.
See, now that could be policed.
That could be taken care of, yes. It certainly could. Now it's 2 and 2 to Zobrist.
Why stop there, I say?
Lemons has a smile on his face about something.
He loves to listen in. You know, what is going on there?
And he breaks off a big one, striking out Zobrist. That's a 1-2-3-6 inning for Paul Clemens, and it's 5-0 Tampa Bay.
series against the Rays through this Thursday, the 4th of July. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit Astros.com to get your tickets now. The Rays and the Astros facing off for the first time this year, and skipper Joe Madden of the Rays said there's a lot of new faces over there. He admitted to not knowing everybody, but he's been catching the games that the Astros have been playing on the West Coast when he gets home from his games. Really impressed with the play of Matt Dominguez and Jason Castro. We talked about those guys earlier. Brownie.
Interesting to hear a different perspective on things. Thank you, Julia. It's 5-0, and the Astros come up in the bottom of the 6th inning with Elmore to lead it off. Jake looks at strike one from Matt Moore. He singled up the middle in the 3rd inning after popping shortstop in the 1st. David Price and Eric Bedard square off tomorrow night. Then it's Roberto Hernandez and Bud Norris. And Chris Archer and Jordan Lyles wrap up the series with a 1-10 start on Thursday. 1-1 to Elmore. The Astros have been held to 2 singles through 5 by Moore. In the air, the shortstop Escobar goes back into left field. That's 1 out. Diamondbacks lead the Mets 3-2 as they go to the 9th at Citi Field. Paul Goldschmidt of the Woodlands hit his 20th home run. Wade Miley started that game. He went 5 2/3 against Sean Markham, who lasted 6. That Arizona club, despite some injuries, holding down the top spot in the NL West. Trying to snap a 3-game losing streak tonight. Jose Altuve takes a breaking pitch. There's ball 1 to Jose. He's walked and he's struck out. It's 2-0 to Jose. Lancaster Jethawks are off to quite a start in the second half of the California League season. They're 9-2. Nolan Fontana had 4 hits and drove in 3. Andrew Applin hit his 3rd grand slam of the season last night as they won 17-3. Popped up. Zobrist out into shallow right field, giving way to Fold. 2 down.
3 grand slams in 1 minor league season, huh?
How about that? Enos Cabell was very impressed as we talked on the field about Andrew Applin. He's about to visit them. You have the minor league systems combined records. Houston 577, the overall leader right now. Texas 2nd and Minnesota 3rd.
Well, those Texas Rangers, first place ball club in the big leagues, and then having that minor league system play that well, that's a nice combo.
Buddy Lance Berkman hurt his knee the other day.
Yeah, I see that, and he's trying to stay off the DL.
Castro with strike 1 has bounced into a double play and walked. Apparently he hurt it getting off an airplane.
Any surprise there?
Not really.
Always seems to happen in the ridiculous fashion.
Well, that's easy enough to do.
I knew somebody who broke some ribs just coming down some simple stairs one time.
I knew a guy who did that this year, in fact. But yeah, those jetway steps can be problematic. They can move around on you. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Marlins shut out the Padres 4-0. It's a 10 strikeout game for Mr. Fernandez, who goes to 5-4. Castro swings and misses. Here's the throw from Lobaton to end the 6th inning. That's strikeout number 8 for Moore, and he leads it 5-0.
money and have fun with with Astros baseball. Whether you're treating your employees, hosting clients, or bringing out your church or youth sports team, we will create an experience your group is sure to remember. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com to enjoy special pricing and great benefits by reserving your group or suite today, guys.
That's a good plan, Julia. Thank you for that. Game 1 of a 4-game series. People up there watching from up above, from the suite level. Great place to entertain. Enjoy a game in terrific comfort.
Look, that's us waving in an infinity through that television screen.
We're just going to let people be on TV for a while.
Play-by-play is kind of tough there, isn't it?
Not very productive tonight so far. Yunel Escobar has walked twice and he's struck out. Did you ever watch the announcerless game in the NFL?
Yeah.
A few years ago.
Yeah.
What did you think?
How's that?
You're trying it here, aren't you? One ball, one strike. Well, what did you think of it?
I just told you.
Oh.
I don't know. I probably want to hear John Madden, you know.
You like John Madden?
Boom. I just don't have one of those things to boom on here.
No. Do you like the telestrator?
I don't know.
We could get you one.
Okay. Work in this game?
It works, but what you do with it is the real problem.
Look, if he'd have turned right here.
Yeah.
Boom. I don't know. How'd you like that game?
I kind of liked it for just one isolated game, but you have to realize you're putting a broadcaster out of business too.
Well, did you get up and start doing the play-by-play yourself? No.
No, I think some people are kind of tired of that by now.
You're talking at the home front?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Off the end of the bat to right field. Jimmy Paredes comes in, and that's out number 1. But no, at least it was novel. And, you know, they had the graphics and the crowd mics.
Graphics are good.
James Loney comes up now. He's 0 for 2 with a sac fly. So his 11-game hitting streak is on the line. The attendance tonight is 12,722. Loney attacks that ball and whacks a line drive by the shortstop out into center field. 12-game hitting streak for Loney.
Well, you get a glimpse as to why he's been so good so far this season. High heat, and that's a good fastball from Clemens. And he just stays right there, doesn't loop under at all. Quick barrel to the ball. Got a chance of hitting consistently with that swing.
He's had very good numbers this year. He came into this game with a .365 on base average, .475 slugging percentage. There's nothing wrong with that for a first baseman. Ryan Roberts is 2 for 3, including a 2-run homer. He pops this one back. Clemens running over there, Carter and also Castro, but it's back in the seat. So, you know, we've heard the criticism of Loney in the past. Well, he doesn't hit for a lot of power as a first baseman. Here's what I think, Ash, for what little it's worth. People get typecast in baseball. Well, a first baseman's supposed to hit 30 home runs.
Yep. Happens all the time.
No, not necessarily. First baseman could be somebody who steals 30 bases and hits 12 homers and drives in 80 runs and scores 80.
Right. Work. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. No question. The corner guys are supposed to hit for power, right?
Mm-hmm. But what if the second baseman is a Jeff Kent type and the shortstop is a Cal Ripken type?
Well, if he's a Jeff Kent type, he's going to get traded 4 times.
Okay. So maybe you don't have him very long. So it's a good point. 1-1. But you know the argument here.
Everybody doesn't fit the perceived mold, huh?
Look at the entire team. In the entire concept of team, what is required of the first baseman on that team. It might be that he's required to drive in 100 and hit 30 for the team to be successful. That might very well be, but it might not.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some great examples.
Rod Carew?
Rod Carew was a first base. He was the guy you just talked about, the guy that could hit for batting average, steal bags. Yeah, that's a perfect example. Of course, Rod started as a second baseman, but he was far too good offensively to play at that position.
How about Keith Hernandez?
Keith could do everything, and he was a great first baseman.
Right.
Clutch hitter. He was that guy that was going to drive in runs. So he was, though he didn't hit maybe a ton of home runs, he was an ideal run producer.
Good point. Strikeout number 3 for Paul Clemens.
Yeah, for me at times, Keith Hernandez was the best player the Mets had. There's that over-the-top curveball we talked about from Clemens. Even though he leaves it up, he gets the strikeout.
Jose Lobaton is 1 for 3.
And furthermore, Keith Hernandez was quite good on Seinfeld.
All right. So how does that figure into his WAR?
It does become more subjective, I have to admit.
That's ball 1. Tom Foley, the third base coach. It's George Hendrick at first base.
Long-time first base coach.
Yeah.
With Joe Madden.
He was a good player. Looping line drive hit to right field. Paredes comes in. And first to third for Loney. On the single by Lobaton. He's 2 for 4. That's 10 hits for the Rays.
They are almost methodical right now offensively. They're a team, we talked about it up top, that scores more runs than they have in recent years. They've hit for more power. They don't run the bases. They're not a big stealing team like they have been in the past. So even managers don't like to get typecast, apparently. Joe Madden has changed his ploys. Says, yeah, I like the hit game more than that running game.
Okay. Sam Fold is 2 for 3 with an RBI. There's strike 1. Joe Madden was a part of that Angels culture, going first to third on a single quite often. And he was the bench coach with the Angels.
Under Mike Scioscia?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he brought that culture to Tampa Bay. But the Angels, you're right, they're a different type team this year. They're not doing it as much. Maybe the same applies, as you're saying, to the Rays this year.
But I think at the same time, Mike Scioscia and Joe Madden would say we still want that first to third, second to home mentality. But if we're not built to steal bags, so be it. We won't do it.
That makes sense.
It's a funny thing. I mean, you can look at times teams that don't steal a lot of bases and in the process don't get thrown out a lot trying to steal bases, tend to be pretty good in terms of scoring runs.
Cardinals do that.
Yep. And it's not always true. It falls right into the conversation. Sure, you'd love to be able to steal bags and go first to third and do everything on top of hitting for home runs and being clutch, driving in runs with runners in scoring position, 2 outs. Do it all. I don't know. Did the 27 Yankees steal a lot of bags?
We'd have to check. Here's guessing they didn't. Foul back. Okay. As of Wednesday night, when the Cardinals were getting ready to play the Astros, they were leading the National League in runs scored. They were dead last in stolen bases.
Yep. Yeah, we pointed that out that night.
Yes.
It's an intriguing combination. I mean, if you're putting a club together, don't you think, well, we want guys that can really run and steal the bags, put us in scoring position. We'll score more runs in doing so, but sometimes it doesn't play out that way.
Might not fit that club. Tap foul. Well, the Whitey Herzog, Whitey ball Cardinals, mid-80s, ran like crazy, but they didn't have power except for Jack Clark.
Jack Clark finally showed up on the scene, and he made a big difference in that lineup. Vince Coleman, Willie McGee, Tommy Herr,
Ozzie Smith.
Yep.
Keith Hernandez.
That's right. Keith keeps showing up.
There's a liner into right center field. That'll get run number 6 home. An RBI single for Fold. He's had a big night with 3 hits and 2 runs batted in.
Rays are playing ping ya ball. Just going to ping it all over the lot.
They're getting 2-out hits.
3rd hit of the night for Sam Fold. I've seen him just kind of flip a couple of balls like this.
They scored 2 runs of their 3 in the 3rd with 2 outs. They scored both their runs in the 5th with 2 outs. Now here's another 2-out run in the 7th. With Jennings the batter. Jennings 0 for 3 with a walk. That's ball 1.
That was an angry fastball right there.
Yeah.
95. Just over humping. I think Jason Castro saw that immediately.
Another note on what we're discussing here on teams and managers taking what they have on that club and using it. Will Porter's been asked, what kind of a manager are you? He said, well, it depends on what the team is. And I think that's the best type of answer a manager can give. If he has a lot of speed, then he's probably going to want his team running a lot. If he has a lot of power, probably wait back for the power to happen.
Here's reality in terms of the running game for most teams that are really good at it. It's green lights and not stolen base signs that are put out there. Guys have green lights. You trust guys to pick the right scenarios. And when they don't do so, you have that chat with them and try to rein it in a little bit. But you try to give that green light to good base thieves and hope that they can do it at the right times and help your ball club.
90 steals for the 27 Yankees. There's a roller up the middle and on through. Elmore couldn't stop it. That's run number 7 coming home to score on an RBI single by Jennings. So again, it's 3 straight 2-out hits, and that was the pattern back in the 5th inning. And the Rays leading 7-0 now have a dozen hits.
Some balls not getting hit sharply. This one just creeps its way on past shortstop into center field. Yeah, methodical and painful at times here this evening.
Now runners at 1st and 2nd with 2 outs for Rodriguez. Hector Embry's warming up for Houston. Sean Rodriguez is 2 for 4. And then strike line.
90 steals for the 27 Yankees. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, they've just got to get better. They've got to start getting more athletes, guys who can run.
Greatest team of all time. Do you believe that?
Most dominant team in their time, maybe. I have a hard time believing that baseball players were really better back in those days than they are today. I mean, you look at video of the NFL or college football or basketball, as the case may be, hockey. Was it really better back in those days? I would say the video probably screams otherwise, but a lot of purists in baseball will tell you that it was better.
2 balls and a strike. Well, certainly the players now are just, they're sculpted. They're huge.
They're better athletes.
Yeah,
no doubt.
So that leads to better range in the field. Faster runners, right?
You work out year round, and that doesn't guarantee that you're going to be better than guys who used to go to the factory, I guess, but it stands the test of logic for me.
Pitchers throw harder today.
Yeah.
There are more relief pitchers who can come in and throw 95.
Completely different when you have 3, 4, 5 arms coming out of bullpens, and we've been talking about it lately, all of whom can throw 95 plus. Really tough. Get the starter out of the game so we can work on the bullpen. Oh, really? Yeah, I think that it's a tough game today, and I think the guys that play it are better athletes than they've ever been.
Think about the plight of a hitter. Instead of facing a starting pitcher as in the 1920s 4 times in a game, maybe you're getting 2 of those at bats against him, or perhaps 3, and then you might face a 95-mile-per-hour reliever and then another one after that for your final 2 at bats if you get 5.
And if you happen to be a left-hand hitter, a couple of those at bats will come against a specialist that throws left-handed.
Yes.
Drops down and throws from first base.
Yeah. Line drive over shortstop, and J.D. Martinez in. That's a hit in front of him. He'll throw in toward the plate, and the run scores to make it 8-0. RBI single by Rodriguez, and that's 4 straight 2-out hits.
There's a scenario the Astros left themselves without a cutoff man. That would be Matt Dominguez, but Matt Dominguez had to hold at third base because Elmore wasn't coming to replace him. Elmore had moved out toward left field, and so the throw comes into no one in particular. And yeah, this is kind of painful to watch what's going on as the Rays just pick apart Houston.
8-0 ball game. Jason Castro goes out. Hector Ambrose has been warming up. There's Will Myers waiting to hit. And it's a tough frame for Clemens. Clemens came in with 2 men on in the 5th. He retired 5 in a row before this 7th inning rally started with a Loney single. Then he struck out Roberts, and with 2 outs, Lobaton, Fuld, Jennings, and Rodriguez all have connected with singles. That's 13 hits in the game. And a homer, 2 doubles, all the other singles for the Rays. And that has bought some time for Ambrose, so now Bo Porter's coming out.
What kind of manager are you? One that for the moment has to be really patient.
Yeah. 40 pitches for Paul Clemens. And that's as far as he goes tonight. Hector Ambrose is moving in to face Myers. We'll be right back with the score 8-0 Rays.
Felder wrangles up some noteworthy guests that have plenty of buzzworthy opinions. Tune in tomorrow at 5 p.m. as Kevin is joined by Nick Wright and Jorge Vargas. We've got Houston versus Dallas with 105.3's Sean Sharif and Brian McTaggart of MLB.com.
Now it's Hector Ambrose warming up in 38 games. He's 2-4 with a 4.73 ERA.
Closing hitters hitting .306 against Hector. Lefties doing most of the spoiling at .380. with a good mid-90s fastball. You would think with that kind of heater, those numbers certainly could tighten up a bit.
Well, he's trying to put out the fire here as 3 runners have come across the plate in the 7th inning, and Myers is the batter. Myers has struck out in the 4th and 6th innings after walking in the 1st and 3rd frames. He's the 8th Ray to bat here in the 7th inning. Strike 1 to Myers. Rays averaged 3.8 runs per game in June as they went 13 and 15. Fouled, and it's no balls, 2 strikes. Tampa Bay's DHs this year are hitting only .204 as a group. That's the lowest for any American League club. In fact, it's lower than the Milwaukee Brewers pitchers. They're hitting .207 as a group. The Rays DHs hitting .204. In the dirt. And it's 1 and 2.
No, that's tough news on the Rays, but great news for Milwaukee. However, it's not helping their plight a whole lot.
Boy, it isn't, is it? Yeah, with their situation right now being a 32 and 48 ball club, 18 and a half games back in the NL Central. Looks like they're going to be sellers.
Good news, bad news. Your pitchers are going to lead the majors in hitting. Bad news, Ryan Braun's going to spend some time on the DL.
Rolled up the middle, and that is a hit to center field. Another run will score as Jennings comes home to make it 9-0. RBI single by Myers. Myers drives in his 10th.
Jake Elmore was pulled toward the third base line defensively and just had no chance to get back up the middle. Everything the Rays are hitting here in this 7th inning, finding a gap.
Well, they've all been singles, 6 of them.
4 2-out runs coming on these singles.
Zobrist steps up. He's 1 for 4. He doubled in the 3rd and rode home on a sac fly by Loney. Or he scored in the Roberts home run, rather. 9 runs on 14 hits for the Rays. That's ball 1. First of a 4-game series between these two, and then they have a return engagement at the Tropicana Field. Final series before the All-Star break. Outside for ball 2, and it's 2 balls, no strikes. Eric Bedard gets the baseball tomorrow night for the Astros. David Price comes back from the disabled list to pitch for the Rays. Well, as you mentioned earlier, Ash, Joe Madden keeps it loose in his clubhouse. Earlier this year, he hired a merengue band to entertain in the clubhouse before their game against the Red Sox. And he also had plantains strung throughout the room in honor of closer Fernando Rodney's celebrated rally fruit from the World Baseball Classic. 3-1. Well, we saw what they're wearing on this trip. He's invited them in the past to wear mohawks and baby blue plaid blazers.
Well, and he follows suit. He'll color his hair for this or that thing that he's got going on. He'll cut it or grow it out.
That's a walk to load the bases.
Good looking pitch.
Yeah. Bases loaded now. They batted around, and Escobar comes up for the 2nd time this inning. Also, Joe Madden has welcomed into his clubhouse this year a cockatoo and a penguin.
Really? I know that some of the guys have had a room outside of the locker room in Tampa Bay and really in St. Pete, where they've got some musical equipment. They can go in and have their own band going on. They just really keep it loose.
Sounds as if it's working.
It has worked. I guess some people could say, well, maybe they would have been better without all the stuff, but for the length of the baseball season plus spring training, it's just a long time. Guys are spending time together, much more than with their families. And if it's fun, it's going to be much more enjoyable to be out there and get your work in.
Foul back. 1-1.
But he also puts in serious work before batting practice, like other teams, the Astros included. They'll get that serious defensive work in, and a lot of talking too during that time.
Elmore to his left, tossing to Altuve, close at second, but they get the out call, and 10 Rays come to the plate in the 7th inning. They are able to extend their lead, and they lead it 9-0. It's 9-0 Rays. Bottom of the 7th is coming. We're back at it tomorrow. It's game 2 of the 4-game set with the Rays. Coverage begins at 6:30 p.m. with Astros pregame live, followed by the game at 7 o'clock tomorrow night.
Now let's take a look at tomorrow's pitching matchup, brought to you by Chevron. Care for your car. For Tampa Bay, left-hander David Price, fresh off the DL, 1-4. Disappointing start on the year, 5.24 the ERA. First start since May 15th. That left tricep area giving him a tough time. Eric Bedard has been healthy, 3-3, 4.44 the earning. And against St. Louis, that win over St. Louis, 6 innings, 7 hits, and 3 earnings in that one. Eric Bedard has been a guy who has really pitched quite well given that opportunity this year for Houston.
Matt Moore shooting for win number 11. We'll face Carter. Chris leading it off here. He's 1 for 2. That's strike 1 to him. Single to left center field in the 4th inning. One of 2 Astros singles in this game. They also have 3 walks, but the 8 strikeouts have worked for Moore. Pulls that one into the ground, and it's a 1-1 count. He's thrown 86 pitches tonight. So 11 wins if he gets number 11 tonight on July 1st. It's a whale of a start.
For a guy that's been having command issues,
he's not followed the storyline, has he?
No, he has not. Although this evening especially early on, just could not throw that first pitch strike to hitters.
It's a liner foul. Watch out. Skips up on into the seats. 2-2 to Chris Carter. Max Scherzer leads the American League with 12 wins. Bartolo Colon has 11. Roly-poly right-hander with Oakland. Matt Moore trying to become the third pitcher in the AL to win 11 or more. Chris Tillman of Baltimore and Justin Masterson of Cleveland have 10 wins. Colon's been unbelievable this year. Past the age of 40. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Work hard during the offseason, get yourself in shape, lose some weight, come win some games for us.
Still 3 balls, 2 strikes. Let's see what we have in the National League for wins. Jordan Zimmerman with 11. Adam Wainwright with 11. Lance Lynn with 10.
2 of those guys are Cardinals, huh?
Isn't that something?
Seems to be a theme there.
Carter's down on strikes. That's number 9 for Moore. There's a winning theme around that organization too. Right here.
Chris Carter just having a tough time. This stuff of Matt Moore, when he's on, can be among the best.
3 more with Tampa Bay. That'll wrap up this homestand. Then on the road, 3 at Texas, 2 at St. Louis, 3 at Tampa Bay. Ball 1 to J.D. Martinez. He's whiffed twice tonight. 2 days off for you and Jeff Blum on the road.
Kind of a bizarre road trip. Actually, I believe that Saturday in Arlington, we are going to be phased out.
All right.
So I hear anyway.
Well, you could catch up on your movies this trip then.
The phasing has apparently taken place.
1-2 the count. You don't mind being phased every now and then, right?
No, phasing is good. Maybe a mad search for great Mexican food. Does that sound for a ploy?
It shouldn't need much of a search. Fouled away and 95 pitches for Matt Moore. He's still at 1-2 in the count. Martinez, meanwhile, Cesar Ramos is getting loose. That was Jose Fernandez for Miami, shutting out San Diego 4-0. Striking out 10. He allowed 2 hits in 8 innings. Little nubber out in front of the plate. Picked up. Lobaton gets it. 2 outs.
Well, the way Lobaton made this throw, I think he was anticipating better speed going down the line.
Yeah.
Made that maybe tougher than he needed to.
It's kind of funny.
Comes out nicely. He's on it very smoothly, but at this point, just clear the feed and move left, make the throw. Martinez, had he been hit by the throw, was on the field of play and out of that baseline, and so he's out anyway.
2 down, and Matt Dominguez steps up. He's walked and grounded into a double play. That's strike 1.
Talking about great Mexican food, we need to get a deal with Papacitos. I could pump that very easily.
Could you?
Yep. Authentically.
Well, you could do what Richie Ashburn used to do.
What's that?
Ask for it on the air.
You know what? I'm above that sort of thing.
You were?
I had been prior to moments ago.
No balls, 2 strikes. To Domingo.
Just doesn't get by you, does it?
It can. Yeah, you can smoke it right on by. 1-2. Yeah, Richie Ashburn. And let's see who was on with him at the time. Harry Callis, maybe?
It must have been at some point.
Used to talk about, boy, it'd be great to have a pizza right now. Little roller goes foul. and then it would show up in their booth within an inning or two. And I believe they were giving the name of the pizza restaurant when they were asking for this pizza.
It's brazenly wrong.
So, well, that's what his bosses thought. And they said, well, you can't do that anymore on the air.
Can we finish the pizza? Did he say next?
So that shut that down for a while until they found another way to deliver a message on the air and get what they wanted.
Whatever works.
That's hit to first base. Loney is there to field it and take it to the bag for a 1-2-3 seventh. That's 11 in a row, set down by Moore, and through 7, 9-0 Rays.
MLB.com at bat is the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. At bat delivers Astros baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text at bat to 31826 or visit Astros.com for details. Guys.
Thank you, Julia. Astros fans watching as the Rays have come in and built a huge lead here through 7 in game 1 of this 4-game series. Hector Ambrose came in the 7th inning. And that was a bat around inning +1. Matt Joyce is the batter. Here's strike 1 to Joyce. He ranks 5th among American League outfielders with a .469 slugging percentage. .243, 14 homers, 31 runs batted in. Pitch hitting for James Loney here. Loney was 1 for 3 and had a sac fly. Fouls it back, and Joyce has an 0-2 count. Joyce has had 243 at-bats this year. 4 for 11 as a pinch hitter. Hey, they're glad they stayed.
Apparently something didn't go quite right.
Which is often the case with trying to catch foul balls. 1-2.
Okay, let's see. It starts with I called it, and then things went wrong.
Ooh. Ouch.
Well, at least the family's proud.
He's got about 4 pulled quads from that.
Keep the family proud above all else.
He took a beating on that. In the dirt. And it's 2-2 to Matt Joyce. Joyce has been 4 for 39 in his last 12 games. He's played right field, left field, and DH.
And then when you fell down, I thought you were just trying to get in position. Where are the kids when we need them? Is that the IRS swooping in there?
Boy, that's it's like a positioning problem there. Fly ball to left. That's the catch by J.D. Martinez, and it's out number 1. Paul Clemens in 2 innings allowed 5 hits, 4 runs with no walks. He struck out 3. Dallas Keuchel in 4 2/3. Allowed 8 hits, 5 runs, walked 5, struck out 4. Roberts is the batter now. Roberts has a homer and a single tonight in 4 trips. Diamondbacks 3, Mets 3. They're in the bottom of the 10th at Citi Field. That's ball 1. Yankees lead the Twins of Minnesota at 6-4 in the bottom of the 8th. Robinson Cano has hit a pair of homers to give him 19. They shortened that game in Cincinnati to 6 innings after a lengthy rain delay, and the final was Reds 8, Giants 1. Swing and a miss there for Roberts.
Well, that's a good looking slider. Remember that one. Great starting location. Finishes with terrific over the top bite.
Jordan Zimmermann has now become the second 12-game winner in Major League Baseball. He won for the Nationals over the Brewers. 10-5 tonight. Zimmermann goes to 12-3. Joining Max Scherzer of Detroit, who's 12-0. 2-2. That Washington club, though, has really been in the doldrums. 2 games above 500 right now. Atlanta began the night with a 6.5 game lead on the Nationals.
A healthy Bryce Harper could help that considerably.
Yep. Deep drive left center field, and that one bangs off the facing above the yellow line for a home run. Another long ball for Ryan Roberts.
Evan Longoria and Wally Pipp, huh? Or I guess that actually goes the other way.
2 home runs tonight, 3 hits.
Breaking ball, and that's 2 breaking balls hit for home runs tonight by Brian Roberts. Now has 5 on the year.
3 runs batted in tonight, gives him 16. Luke Scott welcomes him back to the bench, and it's 10-0. And there's strike 1 to Lobaton. Lobaton is 2 for 4. He's driven in a run and scored 1. That's 15 hits for the Rays. It's lined into right field. Lobaton has his 3rd straight hit. Sam Fold is due up next. What a night for the Rays offense.
Looks like they're sharing that bow and the quiver of arrows on the club.
Wesley Wright is warming up for the Astros. The second 2 home run game for Ryan Roberts this year. Little dribbler, Ambry's coming over. Picks it up and steps on the bag just ahead of the base runner Fold to get him for out number 2. Lobaton to second.
Pretty intriguing stat you bring up, Brownie, considering the guy has 5 dingers.
Yeah, it really is. He gets his homers in bunches. Roberts had a 2 home run game against the Mets at New York back on the 22nd of April. And you know who started that game? Matt Moore.
One guy always gets the runs,
isn't it? Ryan Roberts from Fort Worth, Texas, went to UT Arlington. Big night back in the state of Texas. Desmond Jennings takes a look at that one. It's ball one. He has one hit and a walk tonight. Matt Moore might want to take him out to dinner, but then again, Matt Moore has not needed all this run support tonight, has he? He has the 12th highest run support average coming into this game at 5.82. He's had some nights with big run support.
He's going to go up a few rungs on that ladder on that list, I think.
Yeah. But, you know, you take a look at these guys with 11 and 12 wins, do a little survey, you're probably going to find that they have, as a general rule, had the good run support this year. That one gets by Castro.
Time and time again. It is just amazing how many times Jason Castro has been crossed up this year. Watch this fastball. I mean, this, I don't know if that hit the top of the helmet or what, but.
It's ruled a pass ball. But he got surprised.
He kept it off the helmet at least.
Yeah.
I was asking him a couple of weeks ago about the number of cross-ups, and he said, you know, there's just really no answer to it. It's just kind of happened, but it's been far more often than you would see over the course of an entire season.
That's his 6th pass ball. A stat like that needs some interpretation, though.
Yeah, it does.
3-1.
Yeah, if you know it's a mistake made by the pitcher with the signs, I'd say he deserves a wild pitch, or just he wasn't paying attention stat.
There's a walk to Jennings. Number 2 for Hector Ambriz. That makes it number 7 for Astros pitching tonight, and Doug Roqueo goes out. Rough night for Bo Porter's crew. The Astros, when they're playing teams that are above 500 for the season, have a record of 7-33 this year.
Yeah, and they're going to be seeing some of those teams here in the near future.
Nothing but the Rangers, the Cardinals, and then more of the Rays right up to the All-Star break.
It's a good learning experience if you can actually hold your own and pick up some wins against those clubs now coming up.
Yeah, it could really turn around and leave them feeling pretty good about themselves come All-Star break if they can do some winning here in this next stretch of games. Sean Rodriguez has 3 hits tonight. That's strike 1 to Rodriguez. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Inside for a ball, it makes it 2-1. The Rays are still grinding on their at-bats, aren't they? They're not giving anything up here.
It's hard as a hitter, almost impossible to think, well, I'm not going to go up there and bear down this time.
It's 3-1 now. This is the 4th career multi-home run game of Ryan Roberts' career.
I wonder if he's going to get another tattoo for that.
Boy, he might have.
I don't know if he has any room.
Strike makes it 3-2.
There's some of that grinding of at-bats. Taking on a 3-1 when you're up 10-0 in the 8th inning. Wow.
16 hits and 10 runs. They're still working it hard. That's in the air, and Barnes heads back for left center field. Now looks up, and that one hits off the base of the wall. 2 runs are going to score to make it 12-0 on a double by Rodriguez. His 4th hit of the night. 2nd double for Rodriguez, giving him 6 this year. And it's a 3 RBI game for him. He now has 14.
Just teeing off. And that's what it starts to feel like when you're on a club that is having one of those nights or one of those runs. You're going to get some pitches. You're going to handle them. You'll drive it.
Now Wesley Wright is coming in to replace Hector Ambrose on the mound here. In this 8th inning, it's 12-0 Tampa Bay. Back in a moment.
Dynamo look to right the ship at home as they host the Philadelphia Union. Coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. with Dynamo pregame live, followed by kickoff at 8 p.m.
Now Wesley Wright comes in the game for Hector Ambrose. Wesley is pitcher number 4 tonight for the Astros. He'll be facing Will Myers with a runner at 2nd. And 3 runs home here in the 8th inning after the Rays got 4 runs in the 7th. They're leading 12-0 with Myers having driven in one of those runs with the 7th inning single. He also has 2 walks in this game. He gets a breaking ball, and it's strike 1 from Wesley. Wesley worked once in the St. Louis series. He got a hold in that 4-3 win. And pitched against the Dodgers over the weekend, or the Angels rather, over the weekend, with a scoreless inning in that series.
You want to turn that LA club into the Dodgers, don't you?
No balls, 2 strikes. Well, actually, both of them are getting kind of healthy lately, aren't they?
Yeah, they've turned it on together. Apparently, they've gone in on a pact this year.
Let's see, the Angels have won 7 of their last 10, including 6 in a row, and the Dodgers have won 8 of their last 10.
Both managers maybe needing these winning streaks.
Yeah, that's quite possible. It's a battle for Los Angeles.
Yeah, LA wins either way, right?
1-2. The Rays have never spent more than $75 million on payroll.
You keep in mind Tampa Bay, I believe it was 10 years of absolute futility. First round draft pick, number 1 draft picks time and time again, and some have certainly hit for them, including David Price. But they've also had some get away, never really turned into the players they thought they might be.
True.
And all the while they loaded up and became a contending club.
Just kept piling up all that young talent. Won the AL East in 08, went to the World Series.
And I've heard some fans say, well, that's the way to do it. Well, are you willing for 10 years of futility?
Not really. Myers strikes out, and that ends the top of the 8th inning. And it's 12-0 Tampa Bay.
Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, as well as New Mexico viewers, listen up. Comcast Sportsnet covers the 5-state region, and we want your story ideas. Email us your story at regionalroundup@comcastsportsnet.com.
We have defensive changes, Ash. Let's see what we have. Kelly Johnson at third base.
Keep it interesting.
Takes over for Ryan Roberts there. And there's Sean Rodriguez. He's moved from left field to first base, taking over there for James Loney.
That's very Joe Madden-ish.
Yeah. And there's Matt Joyce. He pinch hit for Loney, and he stays into play left field. We have a new pitcher as well. Matt Moore in 7 innings allowed 2 hits, no runs. There's Ryan Roberts. He's moved to second base for Ben Zobrist. Moore had 3 walks and struck out 9 in a big night for him. He retired the final 11 in a row. And now gives way to Cesar Ramos. He's 1-2 with a 4.25 ERA.
29 years of age, his 28th appearance this year. Giving up right about a hit an inning. Just a couple of home runs.
He allowed that massive 2-run homer to Prince Fielder on Saturday against Detroit at home off the catwalk. Strike one to Ronnie Cedeno. Cedeno has whiffed twice. In fact, it was off the C-ring catwalk in right field.
And as all fans know, when you can hit the C-ring, you have gone just about as far as you can go.
Yeah. C-ring is tape measure. No balls, 2 strikes.
They've got cables and rings and stuff running all over that ballpark.
So to reset this Tampa Bay club in the field, it'll be Joyce in left, Jennings in center, and Fold in right. Around the infield, Johnson, Zobrist, Roberts, and Rodriguez. Battery mates, Ramos and Lobaton.
Watch yourself next inning. It might be entirely different.
1-2 to Ronnie Cedeno.
Sometimes I think Joe Madden sits down there in the dugout and just giggles thinking about what he's doing to the broadcasters.
He's kind of a mad scientist, isn't he?
Can be.
Look mad, though.
Yeah, he keeps a straight face. Those around him do all the laughter.
Jamie Martinez is on the bench with it. Ramos pops one upstairs. It's 2-2. Ramos from Los Angeles went to Long Beach State. Drafted by the Padres in 05 with a supplemental pick. Tampa Bay got him in a trade after the 2010 season, along with 3 prospects for Jason Bartlett. Fouled away. 2-2. Almost 59 times in the 2011 season. Rays began playing in '98. In tight with the ball, that makes it 3-2. They've just never been able to draw well in St. Petersburg. Stadium issue is a major one for their ownership. Even when they've had good teams, it's been tough to get people to come.
Then you look at the former Florida and now Miami Marlins, and their attendance has been hideous through the years. Of course, they've picked it up a bit with the new ballpark, but they're in their 2nd year in that new stadium in Miami, and with a very bad club, they've got poor attendances. I just don't know that Florida is cut out to have a major league team.
Well, there are some who think that there was a mistake made in thinking that the state of Florida could support 2 teams and that there should have been 1 team placed in Orlando.
Well, I can say this, and I don't know, how that might have played out. There was a series that the Toronto Blue Jays played in Orlando against Tampa Bay a few years back, and it drew miserably. And maybe that's not fair because it's not their team.
Fly ball right field. Sanfold over toward the corner. That's 1 out.
They played in the Atlanta Braves spring training ballpark. You know the ballpark very well.
Yes.
And a beautiful place. You can't put many fannies in there, and they didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were just trying to fit in with the decor then.
That's about the way it played out. Picnic blankets on hills were not used a whole lot.
Jimmy Paredes is 0 for 2. He has struck out and grounded to third. Brandon Barnes on deck. That's strike 1 for Ramos.
And I think they were actually kind of testing the waters a bit, and the waters proved a little bit chilly.
No balls, 2 strikes.
It's one of the biggest Aaron and out swings. See from Jimmy Paredes from this right side.
Yes.
Fortunately, just pulled off the baseball.
He bounces this one foul. Still 0-2. Jimmy, of course, rejoining the Astros with Justin Maxwell going on the 7-day concussion disabled list. So it could be a short stint for him, but then again, who knows? He could make some things happen. He fouls that one and stays alive at 0-2.
There are times in watching this right-handed swing of Jimmy Paredes, it feels like definitely his weaker side of the plate, and I don't think there's any debate there, but when you can watch a swing and say that's just not your good side, probably an indication that at some point you may consider swinging from just one side.
He chops this one to third. One big bounce. Kelly Johnson. runs. He acknowledged before the game the left side is his better side. He thinks he has more power also as a left-handed batter.
Yeah, I think it's far his better side.
That's 13 straight Astros retired by Moore and Ramos. Brandon Barnes is next. He's 0 for 2. He should be 1 for 2, but an umpire missed a call on him in the 5th.
Close play, beat it out.
That's strike 1.
That began our musings about baseball tonight.
So that was what started that diatribe. Okay. The Yankees are pounding the Twins 10-4 in the top of the 9th at Minnesota. That's a strike to Barnes, and it's 0-2. Marius was on with an update not too long ago, and he said it was a historic night for Andy Pettitte.
Was that the midnight update?
Yeah, that's going to be coming your way at midnight. Mountain time. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Andy went 5 innings tonight. He allowed 6 hits and 4 runs. And Robbie Cano has hit a pair of homers to give him a 3 for 4 game. He's hitting .293 now. That's a strikeout, and that's number 10 of the night for the Rays. We move to the 9th inning. And it's been all Rays tonight, 12-0. Astros baseball on Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. And by Progressive. Visit progressive.com today. We have changes now for both Porter's Astros. They trail 12-0 as we go to the 9th inning, and Mark Krause will check in to left field. JD Martinez has moved across to right field now. Third baseman is Brett Wallace taking over there for Matt Dominguez. And there's Carlos Corcoran playing first base. And at second base, Jimmy Paredes. We move to the 9th inning now, and it's 12-0. Zobrist with the fly ball to center.
There we go. Guy taking a swing on a first pitch strike. How about that? Leading 12-0.
Yeah.
There's my MVP for the night.
Kelly Johnson is the batter now. Kelly's up for the first time. Escobar was in this spot in the lineup. He went 0 for 3 with a pair of walks. Johnson at .235 has 11 bombs. He's driven in 39. That's strike one.
Somebody in the dugout for Tampa Bay must have said, come on, guys, swing the bats.
Yeah. Johnson's from Austin, Texas, went to Westwood High School. 31 years old, began his career with the Braves. That one goes foul. Oh, it's an error on Tom Foley, who was a fine major league shortstop, and who cannot be proud of that effort.
Well, he acknowledges already that stunk. Keep your concentration down there.
Have some fun with it, Tom. Kelly Johnson played for Toronto last year. He's been an Arizona D-back as well. In tight 1 and 2.
I want to see the cameras in the clubhouse tonight in front of his face.
He may be out for early work tomorrow.
Get those coaches plenty of ground ball work.
Or he might stay after. Fouled away. Here's one for you. Kelly Johnson and Yunel Escobar have formed a double play combination for how many different major league teams?
Well, for the Toronto Blue Jays, for the Tampa Bay Rays, for the Arizona,
Atlanta Braves.
The Atlanta Braves, that's right. Wow.
3 different teams. It's 2 and 2. They should know each other pretty well, although he's played mostly outfield this year. In fact, he's been leading American League left fielders in assists in the early going this year with 6.
Who do you run against if you're a base runner? The guy that has the great arm, or a guy who's an infielder playing out of position in left field?
The latter.
Yeah, and that's what third base coaches are going to tell their runners. We're going to go ahead and challenge this guy. Those are the guys that a lot of times will pick up a lot of assists. Not to demean Kelly in any way, but I think that's pretty common.
Yeah, I agree.
Hit your cutoff man and take advantage.
In other words, you're saying that if you look at the outfield assists coming into a series, whoa, look at this guy. He's got 8 outfield assists. Better not run on him. Not necessarily so.
Can be on the money, can be misleading. I think you need to know your arms. Used to be when teams took infield practice following both teams and their hitting practice, you'd see coaches stay out and players stay out and watch the arms. You knew who could throw and who couldn't.
Yeah, they used to really throw hard.
Yep.
Or otherwise they might not play.
It's the way they go about it in Japan, at least to my understanding. If you're not throwing well on a given day, you may not be playing. Your batting practice was poor today. Ride the pine.
That's some pressure. It's been a while since teams have taken infield. Swing and a miss, and that's a strikeout for Ivan. Second strikeout for Wesley Wright.
Stay tuned for Postgame Live, presented by MD Anderson, making cancer history.
And Matt Joyce comes up. Joyce hit a fly ball to left in the 8th inning. Good to see Jim Hickey back, and he is the fine pitching coach of the Tampa Bay Rays. He's had a little cancer spot removed. There's ball 1. Asked him why he had the bandage above his right eye, and he said it was a basal cell carcinoma that had been removed. He had, I believe he said, 20 some odd stitches.
Well, he lives in Florida, along with obviously now working with these Rays for a long time, and imagine he's gotten his share of sun. It's been tough on a lot of us.
Dave Tremblay goes back to Class A baseball days when he was managing and Jim Hickey was pitching against his team. There aren't very many guys Dave Tremblay has not run across in the last 30 years in baseball.
Talk about baseball guys. He's certainly one.
Yeah. 1-2 to Matt Joyce. Jim Hickey, of course, was here for those outstanding Astros pitching staffs. 05, the World Series year. 04, the near World Series year.
You know, Hick's pretty good on the microphone.
He is good on the microphone.
He does a nice job with interviews.
Well, you would know about that.
Yep.
As a chopper going foul, and then he would be on those network telecasts, and they would interview him quite a bit.
Tom Foley has redeemed himself.
There's Jim Hickey.
Speaks English and Spanish very well, and that serves, I think, any pitching coach well these days.
Yes.
It's Foley. This is gifted work right here. See the footwork?
He was more prepared to make that play.
You get embarrassed once. Just don't let it happen again.
Good to see Dwayne Stats back in town doing Tampa Bay television. He was an Astros broadcaster for years.
He's pretty good on the mic, too.
Struck him out. 1-2-3, top of the ninth inning. Now the bottom half is coming with a score 12-0 Rays. For that shutout win over the Astros. They have pitched 7 shutout victories this season. Their staff ERA was 4.16, 10th best in the American League when they took the field tonight. But certainly with the 7 shutouts, they have had their moments this season. And it's been Matt Moore for the first 7. He allowed 2 hits, no runs. Both hits were singles, walking 3, fanning 9. Cesar Ramos took over in the 8th, and 14 straight Astros have been retired now. Jake Elmore leads it off in the home 9th. He's 1 for 3. That's strike 1 to him. Carlos Corcoran's on deck. That's inside, almost clipped him. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count on Elmore. The Astros' largest margin of defeat this year is 15 runs against Detroit, a 17-2 Tiger win. That's a line drive left field. Caught for out number 1. Matt Joyce with the play. And now Corcoran follows. Playing first base, batting in the number 2 spot in the lineup. He was the starting catcher yesterday Went 0 for 4 in that ball game with 4 punch-outs. Carlos has the best on-base average on the team, 349. A 276 hitter. He has 5 homers. He's driven in 11. He's had 98 at-bats this season. Bounces this one slowly to shortstop. That's out number 2. Five straight for Ramos, 16 straight for Rays pitching. And now Jason Castro, he's 0 for 2 with a walk. Mark Krause is on deck. Astros have been shut out 7 times this year. They have really struggled. They hit 212 as a team in the month of June, averaged 3.3 runs per game. Difficult series against the Angels. There's strike 1 to Castro. Trying to avoid a 1-5 start to this homestand. No balls, 2 strikes. That's after going 5-2 on the last homestand. Rays have 2 home runs from Ryan Roberts tonight. They banged out 17 hits to the Astros 2 hits. Tampa Bay has left 12. Houston has stranded 3. It's 1-2. Matt Moore will go to 11-3 with a win tonight. He's the first to reach double figures in wins with the Rays. They have Jeremy Hellickson with 7 wins. They go to David Price for tomorrow night against Eric Bedard. Castro looks at it, and that'll end this one. That's quite a finish. 17 straight Astros retired by Matt Moore, who goes to 11-3, and Cesar Ramos. And that's a combined 2-hitter by Matt Moore and Cesar Ramos. And a 12-0 win for the Tampa Bay Rays in Game 1 of this 4-game series. We'll be right back.